The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect those of the Barbers Chat Network, our great partners at H&B Media, or any of our media peers. We're just five idiots who love sports and love to talk shit. If you're offended easily, then this show isn't for you. And for those of you who aren't offended easily, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Remember, it's only entertainment.
So cool.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold. My agent just said we made 100 flat. Make it back and make it stack, this like no Steven Jack. Put my rings up in the camera like I needed that. Up in the air and at the rim is where I meet them at.
What is going on, people, man? Happy Friday. It is Friday, July 26th, 2024, man. It is your boy Scott, and we are here for another edition of I'm Not Gonna Hold You. We've got a stream-packed show today. Shout out to everybody who are watching. Fuck you, Elon. Glad to pay the $5 twice for 2 more checks. For not just my account, as we learned last week. I bought it for my account, and then for $79 and Barber's Chest, we can stream the show. Is y'all not finna jit me on my views? But anyway, it is Friday, July 26, 2024, man. We got a big show today. We're gonna get into a whole bunch of Bear stuff. We're gonna get into some Bull stuff, Cubs, Sox. Got a big local hour. It's probably gonna be the local hour and a half. Today we're gonna get into some NBA talk, get into some MLB trade action. We're gonna talk about everything that's been going on with the new NBA media rights deal and things of that, man. Of course, you can follow me at all social media platforms at BarberChair Scott. You can follow the Barbers Chat Network on all social media platforms at Barbers Chat Net. Follow H&B Media at H&B Media TV on Twitter and at H&B Media on Instagram. And of course, man, you need to visit the bcnet.com on Twitter and at H&B Media on Instagram. And of course, who's playing in the background? Somebody. Yeah, that's a fine.
That's a fine.
That was you. I don't know whoever that was. Anyway, that's a fine.
I was trying to share the show.
Anyway, go to the bcnet.com, man. It's your one-stop shop for everything Barbers Chat Network. Subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Barbers Chat Network. There's a whole bunch of different tiers on there. We got a whole bunch of 79th and Hallis content that we got up there from training camp. We've got me and Dante knocked out Return to Queens Boulevard, knocked out 2 episodes, and we've got the latest episode of Cinema with the Guys. We break down the last 2 episodes of House of the Dragon. And of course, if you want to check out the I'm Not Gonna Hold You pre-show, which is a new thing that we do. We come in, we talk the shit for 20-30 minutes before every show. You can subscribe and check that out as well, man. I'm gonna bring in the rest of the crew that we got here today, man. We've got the one and only Mr. JR Bang. You can follow Bang and at JR Bang on all social media platforms. We got the Puerto Rican sensation, Mikey. You can follow him at Junior_Solito. And we've got our Morehouse man himself, Mr. Dante Miles. You can follow him at October Dante on Twitter, man. What's going on, y'all?
There's really no reason to say that.
First of all, let's stop acting like Morehouse niggas are not egomaniacs and don't like when they get called a Morehouse man.
I mean, you're not wrong, but at the same time, we ain't got to say that.
I'm building me a home.
Puerto Rican sensation sound crazy, man. That's my XV video name. That's for when I log off. What's good, y'all?
Yeah, I just want to publicly apologize. I was just trying to share the show, y'all.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine. Just press mute.
I thought it was. Like, I thought my computer was on mute. So
Oh,
when it started playing, that's why I was like, "What the fuck?" I thought it was on mute, man.
Hey, no, that shit happened to me today in the meeting, right? So I'm supposed to be paying attention in this meeting. It's my big boss, it's the second in command, and I'm just like this, yeah. And I'm off to the side, and I open IG, and you just hear it's like fucking Kanye rants, and I'm like, sorry, that's my ringtone and shit. They're looking at me like, what the fuck?
Like how, Sway?
Yeah.
That shit.
No, I'm decent, bro. It's just been I've been surrounded with a lot of bad baseball, man. The Braves kind of falling off, Mike Harris, he had a setback, so he's out a little bit longer. So, it's been tough down here.
Still watch the White Sox.
That was a terrible fucking game yesterday by the Braves, bro. They tweaked
awful,
so hard.
Awful.
They tweaked so hard. They got first off, they got fucked over by the replay review in New York. Laureano was safe at third base, or was it Laureano? Or who was it that stole second? That tried to steal third base. They ruled him out, even though he was clearly safe. And then Laureano jagged in extras. They look bad, bro. They're bad.
Cooked. I mean, the NL is so bad that they may still stumble into the playoffs, but like they suck.
Yeah, they don't look like last year's team.
Fuck no.
No, they do not. Let's get it cracking, man. We're gonna start this. We're gonna start every show for the rest of football season with the local hour. As Bang hits with the
local hour.
The local hour, man. We're gonna call this the local hour and a half because we got a lot of stuff to go over, man. Let's start with the first thing that matters, and that is Chicago Bears training camp is officially underway. Last time we were on the show, we were talking about getting ready for training camp. And man, I am extremely tired. I said this on Second Night the House a couple days ago. You can check it out right now if you haven't checked it out already. We got a dope interview for Seven Night House. We sat down. Well, my brother sat down with TJ Edwards, and he only sat down with him because I lost a bet. It was supposed to be me, so I robbed y'all of a better interview style like myself because I lost a bet. We had a bet about which practice field the Bears are going to be practicing on 2 days ago. I said it was fields 3 and 4. He said 1 and 2, and I lost that because they've been on field 1 and 2 for about 4 straight days. So that's why he had this interview, and I had to be behind the camera. So check that out for the next episode of 7 Night House. Nice little conversation with TJ Edwards. Shout out to him. But man, it's been a different kind of camp. This is my third camp that I've been to. Today was the first day with full fans. They had a community day on Tuesday, which is basically where they invite, season ticket holders, different organizations that they work with in the city, local football teams from the suburbs and the city, you come through and, enjoy practice and, get autographs, get the whole full thing, but just not as much traffic as, regular day. So we had that on Wednesday, but today was the first full, fan practice, and it was cracking up in there, man. Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoy the practices where there's no fans because it's easy to get out the building. But this was fun because it feels like training camp when there's fans there. Number one, and the energy was there. A lot of Caleb Williams jerseys. I saw a couple Darnell Wright jerseys. I always say, you have a good rebuild, or you're coming towards the end of your rebuild when a lot of jerseys you see from the fans from current players. It's no longer where I remember a couple years ago where the only jerseys you would see be the Walter Paytons and the Mike Singletary, Brian Urlachers, the old guys with Jay Cutler's. And not there's nothing wrong with that, and you also still see those, but it's been cool to see a lot more recent players and current players for these fans to be rocking. So that was fun to see as well. But all eyes have been on Caleb Williams. And my first week impressions, I said this on my Twitter a couple days ago. And I know I got a couple people upset about it. They felt I was still picking on Justin, which I wasn't. I was just making an observation. That's what you got to do when you are in media, is make observation. All I said is in my third camp, I've seen more positive signs from Caleb in these first 6 practices than I did from Justin in the last 2 camps that I was at. Has he made mistakes? 100%. These last 2 days have not been his best days as far as like full team. He's been doing really, really well in 7-on-7s. But it's just some stuff that you see that stands out. Today, I'd say that I've never been to a practice where the defense clearly won, but the offense, I was like, oh, the offense is coming around at the same time. And I think the Bears offense going up against this number 1 defense, well, top 5, top 10 defense in in the in their secondary has been pretty good to get them prepared for the rest of the season. And Caleb just looks like he has more command, and that's something we saw the offensive coaches say a lot. Even some of the defensive players that compared to how he was in OTAs, where he was still struggling with cadence and things of that nature, he's been much better. Even Shane Waldron and Darnell Wright, they both said, "Oh no, that's been figured out right away. Like cadence is no longer an issue. He has a command of the offensive line. He knows the playbook." And we found out a couple of days ago, which is not breaking news, but Albert Breer said it on Rich Eisen, that the Bears have been installing in the offense with Caleb since March, off those 3-hour Zoom meetings that they were able to have with the league with him. And even when they had him in for his 30 visit, he sat down with DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, and Tevin Jenkins and the rest of the leaders of the team so he can get adjusted. And that's why it kind of feels like he's ahead of where he's at. I do feel like the defense is ahead of the offense right now, and it should be. This defense has been together for a couple seasons now. But for the first time, like I say, they're not that much ahead of each other. I think that this Shane Waldron offense is going to be really good. It actually looks like they have a plan. Like everything just sounds more balanced than it did last year. Just hearing how even Tyson Bagent was talking about how the offense, how Shane Waldron breaks down the offense to them has been, it sounds like the team in general understands it more than, what the fuck was that somebody just put in the chat? Well, what the nigga?
Damn, what the?
Bro, what in the world? Okay, anyway, that is clearly spam. So it feels like the players have a actual knowledge of the offense and not something where it kind of feels like they don't know what they're doing compared to the last couple of years with Luke Getsy. So I think that's something that stood out as well. But Caleb looks good. The command has been there. He's getting the ball out quick. Today, even though they struggled in full team, what I loved was the 2-minute drills. So they do these situational 2-minute drills where, there's different scores. Today, it was like 0-0 game with a minute 30 left in the fourth quarter. And you have 2 minutes, no timeouts. He went down 60 yards down the field. He had a nice out of bounds play to Roma Dunze. He actually would have had a touchdown to Roma Dunze. Roma Dunze beat Jalen Johnson, but Caleb put a little bit too much air on it, went a little bit over Rome's head. He had a beautiful pass to Keenan Allen, which Keenan Allen is just a master of running routes. So as Tyreek Stevenson told us yesterday, he plays mind games with the routes he runs. And just a beautiful Mahomes-esque type throw, touchdown throw to Tyler Scott, who is having a big camp as well. I think he could be one of the Bears, deep threats. I think has been something that's been cool to watch as well, man. So it's only been a week, and today was the first day they had pads on, but I'm really, really liking what I've been seeing from Caleb. I'm gonna go to Mikey. What have you liking about what you've been hearing about, and any questions you might have about what you've been watching the camp?
I think the first thing that stands out is that for the most part, everybody on the offensive line is participating. To see Nate Davis in there every day. I know Tevin Jenkins came out a little bit earlier today and then came right back in. But to be able to see that, that's a good sign. Because when you have a rookie quarterback, you want to keep that familiarity. You got to build that connection. You got to build that trust. They were talking about the cadence issue when they were leaving out of rookie mini camp and out of OTA, saying that was something that needs to work on, needs to be worked on by Caleb. Obviously, he's coming from a system where he never really played under center, had to break a huddle. So all of that is just growing pains, making the transition from the college game to the NFL. So to hear earlier in the week that Tevin Jenkins, said that, no, we ironed that out. You can tell it's already different. Caleb has got that down pat. I know today the O-line had a few false starts, and that could be cadence issues, that could be just regular rust. But I think it's good that everybody's healthy and performing, on the offensive side. And then on the defensive side, we've known that this group has been together. You add a veteran, a Pro Bowl veteran, and Kevin Byard to this defense that has already been cooking for the last couple of years. And of course, they're going to be ahead of them. But I like that the offense has been able to still answer back. Yeah, it might have not been the best practice for the offense as a whole. In 11 and 11, but like you said, you hang your hat on what they were able to do with the 2-minute drill, and to be able to find the end zone there. So I'm liking everything I'm seeing. It's just I love the summertime, but man, I'm ready for September, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you as well. I'm ready for that. I don't really lie. I don't really care about preseason games, even though I want to see that. I've been saying that I don't think that Caleb is going to play in the Hall of Fame game, but Flus did say yesterday that they are going over whether or not Caleb will play in the preseason game next
And I
week.
was the one that was saying that I think he should play. At the end of the day, he hasn't done anything yet. His name in college was his name in college. He's accomplished nothing in the NFL. He's a rookie. It's not like he's Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. Like, even if he were to just go out there, warm up as if he's playing, have the pads on, be able to go through kind of like that motion. This is his first time doing it. You want to iron all of this out, while you can. The same way they gave him the playbook and they were running plays with him early on in March. It doesn't hurt to go out there, have Caleb go for one series, just to be able to get in the huddle, call the plays, break the huddle, and hand that bitch off 3 times. Like it doesn't hurt anybody to do it. So I'm gonna be interested to see how they go with the practice after this weekend or early next week, and what their game plan is for them, because I think it's beneficial. Last year we saw, and I know the Hall of Fame game is different, but last year we saw they came out the gate slow. So rookie quarterback, new offensive system, get him out there, let him see what it feels, let his feet touch the grass, hand the ball off 3 times, and then that's it.
Dante, do I sound better on the microphone now? Pause.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
That's
All right,
a lot
you.
better. Appreciate
All
you.
right, cool. I didn't see the text so later. But anyway, Dante, what you think about what you've been hearing about training camp? What you've been seeing about training camp? Any questions you might have about Caleb's first week?
I mean, I've been loving what I've been seeing, especially like from all the reporters, everybody in there. Hasn't been, I feel like people have been pretty fair and pretty honest about it. Like, people have talked about, like you said, him struggling with the cadence early on and different things like that. But everybody said that the splash plays are there, the wild plays are there. And that's something that, as a Justin fan, I know we did not hear it a lot, outside of him using his legs. So, I've really enjoyed the fact that people are saying, the arm talent, everything we talk about, it's there. Some of the throws we've seen that, the social media has put out, they didn't show too much of this, a few years ago. So as far as Caleb is concerned, I don't have, like I said, I told you, I don't have too many concerns about bro based on everything I've heard and now everything I've seen and him putting, his name behind a lot of these statements and actually just going out here and doing it. The veterans seem to have, taken to him, especially the ones who were critical before he got there. So the fact that they cool with him. And so I'm really more interested to see how it all plays out on Hard Knocks, and we get a real vibe for how he's connecting with his teammates and things like that. My question to you really would be, like I said, we always talk about the good. Has there been any moments where you've just been like, all right, that was some rookie shit, or has it really been just like you said, the typical, level up and down type of shit?
Yeah, I think it's just been a typical, up and down type. Ain't nothing I looked at. I was like, oh, that's a rookie mistake. Outside of him trying to force, some stuff in there, but it ain't been nothing that's actually kind of stood out like crazy to me. It's just this defense should be very, very good. And I say that because I'm not 100% sold on the defensive line yet, but I'm actually kind of surprised how much he looks like he understands the playbook this early. I expected him to maybe take until the mid of second week of camp for him to start looking like he's looking now. I just think the thing he's got to work on the most, obviously, is the red zone. But even on the red zone, it was like a red zone they did like 2 days ago where they didn't score, but also with that, Keenan Allen had a vet day, and DJ Moore was out for those couple plays for whatever reason. So those guys are going to be in the end zone. But I'm honestly, and I've been trying to be as impartial as possible. I don't want to be the typical Bears fan. Oh, this is gonna be great, but for 6 practices, I like what I see, bro.
Let me ask you this: how does he look just operating from like the pocket? Because obviously, for us, we know what we saw with Justin. We know we could kind of see some happy feet. We seen him break it early. Like, I see plays of Caleb scrambling in practice, and it's like, I know he could do it. I don't want to see him do it, but I understand. But like, how does he look in the pocket? Does he look comfortable?
He looks extremely comfortable. That's something that Flus pointed out. Flus and Shane Waldron, when they asked about the pocket presence, I think the word that Flus used was immaculate to describe Caleb's pride. I said this on Summer Sessions. when me and Bang was talking about it, there's this one player they put on the socials a couple days ago. He threw a pass to DJ Moore, but he stepped up in the pocket. Like that shouldn't be a big deal, but since we yelled for Justin to do that so many times, he stepped up in the pocket, and it feels like, you know, he knows what he's doing. It's just like I thought I'd have more rookie stuff to say about him, but at this point I really don't. Like I'm interested to see it. Like practice, I think I've seen enough practices. I think the practice is going to be high and low throughout camp. I'm ready to see him in actual game situations. What's wrong with you, Mike? You always say I don't think he's going to play Hall of Fame game, but I'm with you. I would play him. I would play him as much as I can these first 3 games. Give him that last KC game off and get ready for the regular season. But I like what I see, man. I like what I see. Bang, any thoughts you have from what you've been hearing about camp? Any questions?
Excited about what I'm hearing about Gravon Dexter. I was hoping that he could, especially when they didn't draft one. I was thinking like maybe he could be that 3 tech when he was drafted last year. I know that was some of the expectation in the back half of the year. He was one of the people on the defensive side that looked great. But hearing what I'm hearing at camp, I'm hearing stuff like, you know, he could play the 3 tech and he could play the defensive end position. He passed his physical, you know, by doing it with the DNs. So with them not going out and signing one, it's like, all right, cool. I'm liking what I'm hearing in some of the clips that we saw today with him being in the backfield, getting doubled right off the bat. Heard that on the Chicago Bears podcast. I'm loving what I'm hearing about that. Offensively, I mean, he's a rookie, so I knew it was going to be up and down type of things. But here's my thought on up and down in Caleb. There's up and down when you're the 11th pick, and then there's up and down when you're the number 1 pick. And what I mean by that is Justin's up and down, which we're used to, or a Trubisky up and down, what we're used to. It's going to be different than what we get with Caleb, because Caleb has had his hands on the offense since March. So there's going to be certain things that is going to happen quicker, or you're going to get over quicker, because he's been locked in on that playbook since March. So I ain't worried about it. I'm not worried about anything on the Caleb side, because if anything, it already seems like, and this is just what I've been seeing, it already seems like an upgrade from Justin. And Justin to me wasn't bad, but it's already an upgrade. So if it's an upgrade from the quarterback who didn't play every game last season and they went 7-10, if it's an upgrade from him, and the defense continues to look like what I'm hearing the defense is looking like on a last place schedule, because it irritates me when people talk about games and stuff and don't realize the schedule. I'm feeling very confident about this Bears team. Very confident.
And that's something I feel like is spreading through the building where everybody feels confident about it, but it's also not. I feel like last year a little bit, the feeling was, at least from the media and from the team in general, is that we're hoping that Justin can show us more than what he shows, even though I don't really think we are. But I feel like a lot of the players thought they were going to be a better team. They were smelling themselves a lot. They weren't as prepared. And that's why they got smacked around in that Packers game. It doesn't feel like that. I feel like they took that Packers loss very, very very, very personally. Almost everybody on the defense has said, we can't start slow like we did last year. Like, we got to go out there and get a strong start from the offense and the defense. This feels like everyone on that team knows that Caleb is that guy, and that this is just the beginning of where they're going to go. Also, Tyson Bagent, we got to speak to Tyson Bagent there. I like Tyson Bagent. He's a cool dude. He was telling us about his workout regimen and stuff this offseason. He's the number 2 quarterback. I thought that it might be competition between him and Brett Rippon, but no, he's been getting all the number 2 reps. I think for a backup, I think he'll be solid. We saw him in that position last year. He led him to a couple wins, helped to a couple wins. Defense helped as well. And this year he has more weapons, which is something he pointed out as well about how many different weapons there are to choose from. He says that now he kind of feels like a veteran, and said last year when he was around Justin and Lou Gessie, he felt like he was kind of like in the background a little bit, not being able to say much because he's rookie. He didn't really know much. But now he feels like he's been helping a lot. And one thing that every player we've spoken to said is they're really rallying behind Caleb. Like, no, he's a great dude. Everybody said we heard the rumors like DeMarcus Walker sounded like he would knock a nigga out about how people was talking about Caleb.
Yeah, I love that.
That nigga's intense, by the way. Like we was waiting to interview TJ Edwards today, and he's in the hallway, and he see my brother like, "What's up, gentlemen?" Like super aggressive. I'm like, nigga, I'm not a quarterback. What's up, nigga? Like he just super high intensity all the time. I'm expecting a lot from him. He told us he was only 75% healthy last year, and that he did too much.
I heard that was a little
kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle that involved him and Caleb.
Or as Brad Biggs said, I don't know if that qualifies as a kerfuffle. He said, I think that would be a dust up. We were all in the media.
There you go, dust up. There you go, dust level. Up. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had no problem. My problem was when Caleb broke it up. I was like, okay, let's relax. Like, hands off the merchandise. Like, let's relax. But Ryan Bates loved that. He was like, no, that's my quarterback. That's the type of stuff you want to see. And perfect segue into the next topic. Get my bang on, my segues on here. But there is an open competition for the starting center position. It is between Coleman Shelton, who they got from the Los Angeles Rams, and of course Ryan Bates, who they traded from the Buffalo Bills. Ryan Bates spoke to us today. He said the Bears have been trying to get him for years. They attempted to trade for him 2 times. They finally got him a 3rd time. They are equally splitting reps. Like, this has not been something where one has got more looks than the other. Both have been equally, splitting reps. Both have looked decent to me. I haven't seen it ain't like one who's been fully more impressive than the other one. I think this is the only legitimate battle in camp right now. But they said that they're going to see how this works out. I'm probably sure they're going to switch with these preseason games, see how they look. We asked it was Caleb gonna have any decision in who gets started. They kind of gave a yes but no answer, basically saying Caleb's cool with either one of them, but we know that at the end of the day this is Caleb's show, and if Caleb feels like he's more comfortable with Ryan Bates, he'll go him, or if he's more comfortable with Coleman Shelton. My only issue is I would prefer not to have a competition with center. Center's a very, very important position, especially in the Bears. I can't remember last time we had a good center. So that kind of, if there's anything that I didn't like, it would be
Olin
that.
Kreutz, nigga.
Olin Kreutz, yeah, I was thinking maybe it was probably Olin Kreutz. I'm not keen on a competition, but hey, man, whatever works out. I think both have been, at least through camp, have looked way better than Cody Whitehair and things like that. But Mikey, I think we kind of talked about this a little bit. What do you think about a competition for center?
I mean, I don't like it because I prefer, if you have to rotate 2 different guys in, then you might not have a guy. So I would have preferred them to have gone after somebody that was a legitimate center, somebody that we didn't have to worry about. I was still hoping that there was an outside chance that maybe they got through the first week of camp and they put in a call to Connor Williams people. But I think in the end, it might be Ryan Bates. I mean, what do you think right now as far as if you had to pick a leader in the race, who do you think it'll be?
I think both have been pretty close, but if I had the gun in my head, I think Ryan Bates is going to win. They traded picks for him.
Right.
Ryan Poles has been in love with this nigga for years. I think ultimately he will win it when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I agree. And I think he's got like a little bit of a nastiness to him that you kind of need from that position, being that he also could play the guard spot. So it doesn't hurt, though, because I think one thing that Ryan Poles has done this offseason is he's done a tremendous job at bringing in depth for the offensive line. When you get Coleman Shelton, when you able to, trade for Ryan Bates, you have, Larry Borum in the wings. You have, I can't say his name, but the 3rd-round rookie that we took this year that's from Hinsdale.
Yeah.
I'm a Gaji. Yeah. But him, and he hasn't still been able to really.
Yeah, he's on the NFL list. Yeah.
Correct. But that's somebody that you have in the wings, and he's still in the building. He's still able to be around the offense, still learning. I mean, that's a 3rd-round pick that you're hoping eventually, can make his way onto the field. So I'm just hoping for the best, whichever, and I'm sure that they're gonna go to Caleb, Shane Waldron, and all of those guys. They're gonna go to Caleb and ask him, who you feel most comfortable with. So I think in the end they're gonna go ahead and take some of his advice, but I'm thinking it's gonna be Ryan Bates.
Yeah, I think so too. That's why I ultimately think it's gonna end up. And my man who is on the NFL, I wish I could pronounce that nigga name. I don't mean to fuck him up, but he's been around. I see him
Buddy
every
ass from
day.
Hinsdale.
Yeah, buddy ass from Hinsdale. He's been
Buddy ass
around.
from
He's been like, very vocal in like the little huddles and stuff with the offensive lines. He's been very visible. He just hasn't been on the court yet. Not court, but the field yet. Bang, what you think about this battle? Does it concern you that we have a battle for center?
Nah, it doesn't concern me because competition never concerns me. Like you got to figure out who you got up in the room, and if you have two people that you feel like is close, somebody needs to go out and they need to make sure that they're the person. Now, if Caleb is used to him because this is the most vital relationship we have, center to quarterback, then and he feel like he's good with both. That's good. I do think Ryan Bass is gonna win it out because they've wanted this dude so bad. You can't want somebody that bad and put him on the bench. I mean, doesn't make no sense.
Exactly.
So I believe that the job is his to lose, and he ain't lost it yet. But it would be good to just make sure that that person is the guy, and that's why you have Connor over there too. And he can be a swing guard. We've all seen, even though he's practicing, we've seen Nate Davis deal with a lot of adversity while he's been on the team. So there's that. And you just need depth in general. So it's not like they lock dude into a long-term deal. So he, depending on what happens with the offensive line, he might not even make this team. So I ain't really tripping. I think it's a good opportunity to build character on that offensive line, build leadership, and we are also talking about how do we just get the best out of this offensive line. From our perspective, we've been dealing with an offensive line that had a lot of issues, but I think, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, what I'm saying is there could be a possibility that as the season progresses, we look and we say, wow, Justin was good in a lot of areas when it comes to getting off and running with the ball, getting off pause and running with the ball and all of that stuff. Caleb is not going to automatically do that. So it might be a situation where you find out that a quarterback was so good on one side of it that it raised issues from an offensive line's perspective that we didn't necessarily have, because we've not heard any bad things about what's my man name, Braxton Jones. Darnell Wright is poised to have a major year. If Tevin Jenkins stay healthy, he looks to have a stellar year. Nate Davis, if he's on the field, we'll see what happens there. So as long as the anchor is good, everybody else is going to be straight, and it seems like everybody else is right now.
Yeah, Nate Davis has actually been practicing every day, which is much different from last year. Tevin Jenkins is, he's a vet now. He's more talkative than he was before. But I agree with everything you said. Dante, what you think about this? You worried about a battle or no?
No, I'm not worried about it. Like Victor said, bro, we got two veteran centers that came from really good offenses, and that's why my concern was lessened a lot. When you look at the offenses that they came from, I think they'll be able to help Caleb in his development as he tries to transition to the league. So as far as concern, I don't have much. I feel people when you want just a guy at center, especially when you have a young quarterback. But at the end of the day, if they both can help him identify the coverages, slide protection when necessary, and just take some of that off of his plate as a rookie, and it's a win for me. And also like we said, our centers have been fucking terrible. So it won't take much to be an upgrade. So just for me, more than anything, even with the quote unquote battle at the center position, I just want continuity on the offensive line. I don't want all these subs in and out. Obviously, you're gonna have to rotate guys sometimes, but I want R5 to be able to actually just build together, grow together. So hopefully, if it is a battle, that it's solved, it's settled quickly, and we just get R5 and we let them roll and let them grow with Caleb.
Definitely. I want to answer this quick question in the chat. The Orlando put. He said, "Do you still believe Herbert is getting cut traded?" Yes, I do. I've been saying all along. I think that's going to be my surprise cut or trade. I don't even know if it's that much surprise. And I think he's even having a bad camp. I think Herbert's been what Herbert is. Like this is. He's just there sometimes. DeAndre Swift is a fast motherfucker. He's hard to tackle. DeAndre Swift looks like, that nigga's owed every dollar that he's getting paid. I just think he will because Roschon has looked good in the little time he's gotten. And we all know when it comes to draft, who's your guy? Khalil Herbert is one of the people left over from the Ryan Pace era. And I think that they're probably, I don't know if you get much for him from trading him, maybe a 7th rounder or something like that. But I do believe that I would be shocked if they come into the regular season, the final 55 or 52, 55. I don't know which number it was. 52? It's 52, final 52. Yeah. So if he makes that, I would actually kind of be shocked. I think that he will be on his way out just because, just because of the youth of Roschon Johnson. He said Roschon Johnson showed nothing last year run wise. He can block, but I mean he also wasn't healthy last year. He didn't really participate in camp at all last year, and then even when he played, it was very very small moments. And also we got another Luke Getsy, was a dumbass, so he didn't really know how to use him as well. Says you can find a third running back anywhere, should be able to trade club. Maybe, I mean, a lot of teams, I don't know how many teams trade for running backs. A lot of people like hoarding their draft picks. So whether it's a trade or release, that's my shocking or surprise.
And it might not have to take place in the summer. You maybe run with him as on your depth chart and as your number 2 back up into the season, and you wait until somebody gets hurt and then maybe able to flip him for a 4th rounder before the trade deadline.
That could happen as well, man. I want to spend the next 10-15 minutes before we move on to the Bulls to talk about the defense, man. And this is something that caught my eye when Flus was talking a couple of days ago. He said that Eric Washington had been calling plays in practice. He said that this just trying a lot of stuff, and that they've been having good game plan meetings and things like that. I see, Mike, you were very vocal on Twitter about your opinion on this, so I'm gonna get the floor to you. What do you think about him calling plays in practice? We don't know if this is gonna mean anything. We asked Eric Washington about it. He really didn't really give us an answer. What do you think? What's your takes on that?
I mean, I personally would have preferred. I prefer going into the season that Flus continues to call plays. I feel like they started to find a rhythm when he took over as the play caller for the defense. I mean, that is his forte. That I understand he has to be the head coach of 53, but I think that, they started to find something with him, towards the back end of the season, once he started to call plays. Now, I really do, I like what I'm hearing from you, and obviously what I've been, reading, from coming out of Lake Forest, as far as Eric Washington's plan to develop a pass rush. That's something that we really were lacking last year. I mean, we can go back to the Cleveland Browns game. I mean, they were getting there, but they kind of weren't getting home, when we needed it. You can think about it in the Lions game where they kind of let them creep back in, weren't able to put Jared Goff on his ass. So I'm liking that. Obviously, Gervon Dexter is going to be key, because if he can be that dominating 3 tech that they need, then this is all going to come to plan and come to fruition with what Flus wants in his defense. So I hope that Flus is the one calling the plays, but I mean, we'll see. It's camp right now. I think, I've seen around at some other, I've looked around at some other teams, and I know that there's some offensive-minded head coaches that normally call plays that are letting their OCs kind of call plays now early on. I don't know if this is a training exercise to get guys ready in case that they need to switch to them, or preparing guys for the future, for potential head coaching positions. But I mean, it can't hurt to have somebody like that learning and being able to know what it's like to call plays. But I would prefer that Flus continues that momentum. They continue to hear that voice, and they continue to run, with him being the leader on the headset.
Yeah, I think that first of all, I don't think nothing's gonna come from this. I think this is just practice shit. And like Flus has been saying since starter camp, we're just going through a whole bunch of things, seeing what works, see what doesn't work. I don't really think for me personally, I don't really think it matters too much. I think if I had to pick one, I would prefer it would probably be Flus, because of the hot streak they went on after they got rid of Freakman and moved him to be the new defensive coordinator calling plays. They looked real solid.
Freakman.
Yeah. But I don't have a problem with defensive coordinators doing what defensive coordinators do, and that's calling plays. Either way, it's fine. I think it's the same philosophy. They're in the rooms. Flus can tell them what he likes and what he doesn't like. Either way, it's perfectly fine with me. But that kind of transitions to this final Bears topic that we have about the defensive line, which has been my number one concern all off season. My concern has been about needing to get help for Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat had a big second half of the year. Of course, the Bears had not a good pass rush. They were really good the last couple weeks of the season when they got Montez, and Yannick was playing real good alongside Montez before he got hurt. But I always said that I wanted them to add something more in the offseason. And Ryan Poles said in his not introductory, but his media day press conference when camp started last Friday that they're kind of good with the roster as it is right now. They're going to evaluate, and if there is time to add a vet, they will do so. That's my biggest concern. I think today was the first time you could really judge the defensive line because they were in pads. They looked fast. They looked quick. Eric Washington made a huge emphasis on having only 4 guys rush, and those 4 guys look really good. Tez does what Tez does all the time. Gervon Dexter is flying off the page. I'm flying off the line, and they're looking real good. Austin Booker showing some flashes as well. I don't know how much that's going to translate in actual game against better offensive lines and things like that, but it kind of feels like they actually have a plan to actually get to the quarterback. So I'll trust Eric Washington's plan, but one thing I do believe what Ryan Poles is going to do is he's going to look at this situation as something where we'll see how this does, and if it doesn't work out by the time trade deadline is, which is actually funny. Trade deadline is actually the same day as election day this year, which is very funny. Very, very funny. So that's going to be something to watch. And then if it's not working out, I think he will make a trade, whether it's somebody else, maybe a Matthew Judon, something like that. Remember, they have that second rounder from Carolina still there. We got a couple questions I'm going to answer before I give it off to Dante. Bobby Thompson says, Justin Jones was that big talker that didn't live up to hype. Do you get that vibe from Walker now? Is he capable of backing up? I mean, that's a great question. He does talk a lot. He is the loudest person on the defense. And I don't know if he can back it up because he wasn't somebody who, jumped off the page when he was with Tennessee. When they actually signed him, I kind of looked at him as more as depth. But the way he's been talking is that, he wasn't really healthy last year and that he can really do more in this defense. So I don't know. I hope he can, because if he can, it takes the D-line to another level. But I think the difference between him and Justin Jones was I feel like DeMarcus Walker, his talking isn't just I'm just talking to be talking. Justin Jones seemed like he just one of them niggas that just talk, just he like to talk, just like he hear himself talking. So I think that if he does, it will help them tremendously. But I don't know. That's something to look at, because if he doesn't, that's going to be something that's not going to help him at all. Another question from Victor: how does Jake Martin look? Seems like they were hyping up. Yeah, Jake Martin had a good week at camp. I don't think he's anything more than a backup. I don't think it's going to be anything more special than what he is, but he's shown some flashes this week. Had a big practice as well. And Say Shot City says, are they looking to play D Walker more at 3-tech along with Dexter? I don't think so. I don't think they are. I think he's strictly going to be coming off rushing, like off the edge. I think they're leaving that 3-tech mainly to Gervon, and I think that's why I feel like all the chips are being thrown there right now. It really feels like Ryan Poles, Eric Washington, and Matt Eberflus are throwing all their chips on Gervon Dexter having this monster year. And Gervon, I believe, believes that he can too, because the nigga wasn't talking to last year. Me and my brother interviewed Gervon twice. He's real silent, put his head down. He called Joe sir, which is hilarious. I told Joe, you're unk now, my nigga. It's not just me. So it looks like that they're betting the house on him. And as far as what we saw today, it was good.
Would you say you're looking at Montez Sweat on the outside, Andrew Billings, Gervon Dexter, and then
DeMarcus.
Walker, and then DeMarcus? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think it's going to be. Dante, what do you think about Poles standing put with the defensive line? Do you have any concerns about it going into the season?
I think this is one of those things that, when you hire Eric Washington, it's kind of like the Craig Counsell with the Cubs move, where you're trying to maximize the talent you already have on the roster. He's known for doing that with defensive lines everywhere he's gone. And so now with a full year Montez Sweat, we already have the pieces that we want to see do more. And I think this is a guy they expect to get more out of them. So I don't really see it as a problem. Also, I think we also just continue to forget that we still have a lot of flexibility. Like, we have 9 picks next year. There's cap space. There will be players that come up for a trade. I know it's still a pie in the sky thing right now, but if they don't pay Micah Parsons, then that option is out there. It's still going to be pieces available for them to add to it if they need to. So I think right now, with all of the pieces you've added on offense, with how good your cornerbacks are, your linebacking core is good. I think you're at a point now where it's like, okay, let me see what I can do with a full year of Montez and the effect that he has. Like we saw Washington has been moving him around the defensive line. So just seeing how he can impact the scheme from different positions, I think that may be an addition without us going out and spending money. And so, yeah, like Victor said, bro, we know Poles is good for an in-season trade. So if he can go get some talent, even if it's not a big name like Micah, if it's somebody that just can come give us 6 or 7 sacks, some shit like that, that would be, icing on the cake for him because he's already put a lot of pieces in other parts of this team. So I don't think it's a concern. I think it could be good we can go into this season as is, and this is still a team that the defense is going to be expected to be a top 10 defense.
Bang, man, what you think about the D-line, man? Any concerns for you?
No. I just want to see Gervon Dexter because this version of Tampa 2 or any version of Tampa 2 is very dependent on the 3-tech. When you look at Warren Sapp out there with Tony Dungy, even when Tony Dungy was with the Minnesota Vikings as their defensive coordinator, John Randall had his best years. You can just go down the line of any version of this defense and look at the 3-tech and see how important, not only how important that position is, but I just named you 2 players that's currently in the NFL Hall of Fame, in the Football Hall of Fame, and are both one of the best defensive tackles of all time. With that being said, if you have Montez Sweat and you have a Gervon Dexter that's collapsing the middle and getting after it, then Billings' job as the run stuffer is easier. Whoever is on that other side job is much easier. Walker's job is easier. Austin Booker's job is much easier. It's damn near impossible to double team at this point because then if you double team, then that means that if you double team him, that means that somebody's getting off. Pause. And once that happens, it makes the whole front 7 better. We already have a nice defense that has some dope linebackers. Y'all just talked to TJ Edwards. He's the unsung hero of the defense. Tremaine Edmonds. They do a lot of nickel, but when Sanborn comes out there, he out there killing it. And then most importantly, on paper, you probably have one of the best defensive backfields in the NFC. So if that defensive line it improves in any way for Gervon Dexter being a good 3-tech, just good, consistent, boy, that defensive backfield is going to have a field day.
Yep.
Kyler is going to probably be the person to me that benefits the most in the slot. But of course, you already got JJ. You got Kevin Byers, who comes in with a lot of experience. You got Brisker, who could probably stay healthy because it's going to make things a bit easier for him. How that defensive line goes is how that defense goes. And if Gervon Dexter is the perfect 3-tech for this defense goes from top 10 to top 3 and not 3.
Yeah. And I think just the one thing that we gotta also understand, like, this is not a one and done season for the Bears. Like, I know there's a lot of excitement. I know that we're all, super hyped for them to get on the field, and we think that they can be a surprise team and make a run. But Ryan Poles is going to continue to play this how he has been. This isn't the finished product for the team. We were arguing why he wasn't getting wide receivers when Justin was here, why he wasn't addressing the O-line, and then he did that in year 2. Then in year 3, now he went ahead and he's poured into the offensive line. I think the final piece next season, whether via the draft or free agency, is he's going to go and get him that big-time defensive lineman to complement Montez Sweat. So I think with them, they're playing with house money right now. Austin Booker, I think he can go ahead and flash, coming in a rotational spot, coming in on kind of must-have passing down situations for the other teams where he could come in and just bull rush, the tackle. And then Poles is going to evaluate mid-season. If this team is off to a crazy start and somebody is down, a surprise team, we know how the NFL is. There's teams that every year in the playoffs and the very next year, they're sub 500. He's going to evaluate this team as we continue to go on. And if he can go ahead and pull off a trade this offseason, like Vic said, he'll 100% do that. If not, I think next year is the year where he'll 100% just pours into that line.
And that's the crazy thing, real quick. That's the crazy thing, Mikey. I don't think they're gonna need that. We got all of these picks. We still gonna have money, and if Gervon is who we see the first day in pads, and that's not even the top of what he can do, you're not gonna need that at all. Like you're not gonna have to go out there and spend capital or spend a lot of money on Micah Parsons or anybody because you'll have the perfect person for it. The perfect person for this defense is not a defensive end to complement Montez Sweat. It's that 3-tech. You get that person in that spot, everything else falls in place for this defense. And you can now use that money to re-sign people. You can use that money to re-up DJ Moore. You can use that money to pay to re-up on a couple of things, shore up that offensive line because Ryan Bates could be the person for now, but we got to make sure that we see that. You decide to re-up on Tevin or not? Tevin has expressed that he wants to re-up. The Bears like, oh no, Playboy, we're gonna wait and see if your ass can stay up on this field, So they can use that money to go elsewhere if Gervon Dexter is the 3-tech that we need. So, and that's what I'm praying. Like, that's literally what I want. If he's the guy, we don't need shit else. We straight on defense.
I think both of y'all make solid points because one, I think that what you were saying, Bang, is what been Ryan Poles' plan from the day one is to make this a long-term thing. Outside of the 80s, in the Super Bowl era, the 80s was the golden era of the Bears football in the Super Bowl. They won a Super Bowl. I think they went to like 3 or 4 NFC championship games. They won a division like 6 or 7 times in the 80s. We have not had anything even close to that since then. It's been one-off years. You have the 2001s, you have the 2005s or 2006s, 2010, 2018. We're not even going to include the COVID season because whatever, nigga. But like it's been one-offs. This feels like something like you just said, Mikey. It's a long-term play. But even if let's just say Gervon doesn't do that, or he's just decent, he's not the 3-tech giant that we hope he is. You got the stuff to go out there and make that move if you want to. And I think that's why what puts the Bears in the best position. They can go either way they want to, man. And that's why I think it's perfect about it, man. We're going to roll around with our local hour coverage. By the way, I will not be at camp tomorrow, so don't be expecting any updates because, nigga, my knees feel like golf balls right now. So I'm going to be doing nothing but laying in my bed and watching TV this weekend. I'll be back on Monday. But we're going to move on to Dante's favorite topic to talk about, and that is the Chicago Bulls. We're going to talk about the Bulls. We're going to talk about the Cubs and the White Sox. Mike, you've put a very interesting graphic in the chat. I'm going to read off Chicago sports overall record in 2023-2024, and this is why we're hoping that the beloved Bears do so well because the White Sox currently are on pace to have the worst record in the history of Major League Baseball. They're currently 27-78. I think they're on a 12-game losing streak. You got the Cubs. They're 4. Go ahead. My bad.
I just want to say, me and Mikey called this. Like we said, this is going to be all-time record bad, like before the season started. But go to continue.
To be fair, Stevie Wonder could have saw that coming. But all due respect to my cousin Stevie Wonder, we're not gonna get into that story again. Anyway, but the Cubs 49-55, they're still in the wild card race because the National League is like the Eastern Conference in the NBA, but they've been bad. The offense has been ridiculous. The Bulls made the play in with 40-44. They have traded. Sign a trade with DeMar DeRozan. They're still trying to upload. Get Zach the fuck up out of here. And then the Blackhawks 23-53-6, but they have Jesus Christ on ice, which is kind of bizarre, and they just got somebody number 2, so they're building some things in the right way. The Sky 10-14, but the WNBA is weird. Angel Reese has been hooping. They're in the playoff race as well, but a lot of things really determine on what the Bears are going to do. But the guys on the West Side, man, first. I don't know if I'm banging. Am I pronouncing his name? Is Mastas Buzelis? Does he pronounce it?
Mastas Buzelis is what I keep hearing.
I was not aware of him prior because I didn't know anybody in this draft outside of Bronny. And the only reason I knew of Bronny because he's LeBron James' son, not because of what he actually does on the basketball court. But
unnecessary.
It wasn't really unnecessary because niggas be doing a lot. No, I don't want to get to another.
Hella unnecessary.
It's not. It's nothing to do with Bronny. I have nothing but love and respect for the kid. I hope he has a great career. But if I get another House of Highlights highlight tape, it's 3 minutes. Bronny James, 4 points. What are we doing? Well, I don't blame Bronny. I blame the media. But anyway, so Bang was one of the people talking about Mastas months ago, like almost a year ago. He had a really, really good summer league. Now, granted, it's only summer league. It don't really mean nothing come actual playing time, but it looks like the Bulls might have a guy here. I don't know what they're gonna do with the rest of the team. Alex says in the chat last October, Mastas was projected to be number 1.
Yeah, 100%. He just had a down shooting year in the G League.
Yeah, somebody called him Agon James.
Come on.
That was a good one, Agon James. And what Bryce is aiming? but yeah, so Mastas has been playing really well. He looks like a guy who, for his height, looks like he's gonna be able to come in and make an impact right away. It doesn't feel like the Bulls are gonna be able to trade Zach LaVine before the season starts because, as we know, draft picks, especially first rounders, are something with the new CBA aren't something a lot of teams willing to give up. And the Bulls have to package some picks just to get rid of Zach LaVine. We haven't really heard anything on the Vooch front, so we don't know if they're going to be.
I got a new one real quick, Scott. I got a new one real quick. Sit down and jag for flag. Hey. That's what they better do. Pause. That's what they better do with Zach, fam. Don't have Zach come in and jail with niggas and they be fake decent. Nah. Sit down and jag for flag. Pause.
I agree, but we gotta find a new slogan, brother. We can't.
It
don't have the same flow as doo-doo for Juju. You feel me?
It ain't shit else. It ain't shit.
For Shador.
It ain't shit else to do for flag. Ain't shit. You can't rhyme shit with flag. Stupor for Cooper. That don't even sound right. We are at a point. We already
be bad for flag. There we go.
The fact of the matter is you got to jag this season off and be as terrible as you can.
I don't think they will be if they keep Vooch and Zach.
That's what I'm saying.
Or even if they move Zach and keep Vooch.
Beat Poof for Coop sounds too Caucasian, is my brother. That sounds like a 6-year-old Caucasian kid.
You trying to get the Caucasian big three?
No. But these Caucasians got swag. You see what goddamn Cooper ass was doing to that damn U.S. team, and you see Mata still got a ways to go with that jumper. I watched all of some league games. He still got a ways to go with that jumper, especially behind the arc. But I love this man's moxie.
Yeah.
I love the fact that this dude going after it. He ain't playing. He gonna talk his shit. And he gonna go. And that, to me, gives me all the confidence that they got somebody, because you can't be up in here. You can't be up in it. Well, let me phrase it like this. He could have went to school. He said, nah, I wanted to go play in the G League. I want to start playing with NBA-type players. It just didn't work out the way that he wanted to. But he was still out there with the confidence that said, nah, I'm with it. And he was projected in October to be the number 1 pick. And they projected him to go as early as 5 to Detroit. So when Detroit didn't pick him, I was like, okay, I think he might drop. I bet. It's lit. We got it. So I do think the Bulls in this situation has somebody that has number 1 pick capabilities in this draft in particular, because it's a terrible draft. Now, it might sound bad, saying that with Mastas, but you look at what Saraz did in the summer league. His ass was terrible. Sorry ass. The other dude that was the number 1 pick, he was halfway decent. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these picks in the summer league struggled, and you had a lot of people in the late first round, early second round that was out here with the dog mentality, because around that you gonna get dog mentality. Like, shouts out to Terrence Shannon. But I do believe that the Bulls have somebody with this one, and somebody who's going to get in your face and get in the other team's face and tell them it's not a game out here. I just hope that the Bulls be terrible enough to be able to get enough chances to get that number one pick. I know I keep saying Caucasian Big Three for hilarious comedic purposes, but when you have Giddey, who looked great in this Olympic session, he looked real good against Team USA, had some near triple doubles in a number of these games. You got Mastas, and then you can end up with Flag. Oh man, we will
add Kobe White to that. Kobe White's been hooping. I'm with you. Like, I want them to be bad, bro. Like, sit Zach LaVine to you. I'm gonna be real. You might take the L on Zach. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying that you gotta. If I don't want to give up picks, especially with the way that the Bulls been giving up picks, you gotta do something, bro. I just don't believe you can start this season with him on the bench. I mean, with him on the roster. And like you said, they might have to suit him. Like, oh, we're not gonna play him until we find him a deal. Whether you sit down with Rich Paul, because let's be, Rich Paul controls the NBA. Sit down, Rich Paul. Yo, we gonna send Zach to where y'all want to go. And even though it's not gonna be a perfect deal for us, we got to get this man up out of here. And Boots, you can send him wherever you need to too. Even though they'll be bad, I can watch bad occasionally. I'm not gonna be watching these niggas every day. If I can watch a Kobe White, a Mastas, a Io, and guys like that while they're losing games, they try to go get you a Cooper Flag. That I can be with. I don't. If they're gonna go all the way in with it, go all the way in with it. Don't half-ass rebuild, bro. Yes, it's the lottery. No guarantee. This ain't the NFL. It's not Major League Baseball. Or worst record automatically gets the number one pick. But give yourself a chance to get in there, because that's some bad teams in the NBA. Now, you'll be competing with the Wizards. You know what I'm saying? You competing with the Pistons, nigga. Like, you're going to have some competition. And Zach LaVine being on there is not going to help whatsoever. Dante, I'm going to go to you first because I know you hate these niggas. Is there anything positive you got to say about Mastas?
Shout out to Mastas. No, I like his game. I like what I saw from him. I think, he can potentially be a, good building block. We talked about how, like Alex said, he was, projected to be a number one pick last year. So it's not like this guy doesn't have talent. But I mean, the whole tanking thing, I feel you. But I think this is a team that has been shitty and got the 7th pick like 3 years in a row. So, like, I think they kind of burn with the whole trying to tank thing, like trying to be bad. Like, unless you got a guarantee from the league that you're going to get Cooper Flag, it's really nothing.
Hey, man. Hey.
Make that call, brother.
Hey, make that call. It's about time.
Which we need to. They do. We do one. They owe us one. They owe us one.
That's a good question, Victor. Is Billy Donovan head coach of the future? Because they just hired 2 assistants that look like.
Yes.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So.
You think I don't? First of all, I always say I never thought that Billy was fully to blame for this team. Like,
no, not.
No.
I don't know. I think they have a backup just in case Billy himself is like, you know what, nigga, I'm not doing this rebuild thing. So I think they do have a backup just in place, but I don't think that nigga's going anywhere. Didn't he just get an extension?
Yes, he just got
one. He got an extension.
One, he just got an extension, and 2, this is a dude that won 2 national championships in college. He's been around this. Yeah, when he got to Oklahoma City, they had what they had, but then they eventually lost that, and they still was fake decent over there.
He said he didn't want to stay at OKC for a rebuild. And look.
In OKC because it was OKC.
Yeah, because it's OKC. Like, staying in
yeah,
OKC.
Like, I do a rebuild in Chicago.
Staying in OK. And then it's all about who you have, right? Like, let's be real. That first part, the first start of the OKC rebuild was like, all right, we're terrible, but, all right, cool. And then they made that trade and everything, and then went, for SGA and then, and all of that stuff. But you can rebuild, but it's who you get. Now, if you're not terrible enough to get Flag, then I ain't really. I mean,
that's what Alex says. Alex says not just Flag, this draft is Flag, Bailey Harper, and Edgecombe.
Oh yeah. This draft. This back to the we gonna get a good motherfucker in the first couple of picks.
Yeah,
and we gonna get that. We're good because I actually like Bailey.
They said these next 2 drafts.
But fuck all that. I want the number 1 person. I want
Me too.
Flag.
Yeah, I want Flag.
I'm tired. But no,
Yeah, I won't flag, but Bailey is
Bailey, yeah, Bailey Harper, they're cold, man.
Well, Mikey, before we move on, what do you think about Mastas?
He cool. I mean, I mean, like,
I like that
answer.
answer.
You know me right now. Like, I'm not fucking with the NBA at all.
Which is,
but
I can't wait till we get to the media deal conversation. I'm gonna get the floor to you about what you said about the media deal.
Me. I was about to edit on there. Mikey exit. You know what I'm saying? Mikey exit. Bang enter. I was gonna tell you, hey, reorganize that. MLB, then Mikey out. But no, I really just like his mentality because he hoops like a motherfucker that wants it, and it's really rare to see that. He's 19 years old. Like, it's really rare to see that from this younger generation. And he's got a chip on his shoulder. He keeps saying that the number one pick didn't want it with him. He kept saying that nobody really wanted it with him. So I do like that. I think that's what this organization needs. I think they need more of those guys, and not just more of those in mentality, but more of those in also talent. So I think he does have the talent. I think he's going to be fun to watch. I think with him, Kobe White, Pat Williams now we're going to be able to see what he can do based on, they're not being, they got to really move Zach, I think, in order to get Pat the touches he really needs, man, because then, DeMar's gone. That's cool. That's about 23 shots a game that, have now been freed up. But, Kobe could be a gun. Josh Giddey's really not that assertive on offense as far as trying to get his shot. But I think Pat needs to get those. I don't want to see an offense where they're playing through Vooch. That's why I really would like them to move Vooch because there's no point. Like, I don't see no point in being a play-in team with this team. Like, just be all the way bad. Nah, let Kobe continue to develop. Let Giddey, let them have a floor general that can get them to the spots. Let Pat Williams finally ascend. Let Mastas, let these younger players actually hoop. So, I would love for them to go ahead and move off of Zach and Vooch, but I think in typical Bulls fashion, they're going to hold on to him. They're going to be stuck, and they're going to win some games in December that are going to come back to bite their ass come June next year.
I 100% agree with you. I would love to be wrong, but that's probably how it's going to be. One last Pools topic before we move on to baseball, then Bang can take a little 25-minute break as we talk about what's going on with the Cubs and the White Sox. But let's talk about Jerry Reinsdorf trying to finesse niggas again. So it was announced a couple days ago, about 3 days ago, that the Bulls and the Blackhawks are announcing something that is called the 1901 Project, which is set to begin in the spring of next year. And this is what exactly it says on the website. Our vision: a transformative $7 billion private investment on Chicago's West Side, celebrating Chicago's unique spirit, spearheaded by the Reinsdorf and Wirtz families. The 1901 Project would transform the West Side with a jolt of new development, bridging neighborhoods and enhancing opportunities for residents, business, and all Chicago. It's going to be 55 plus acres of private assets with mixed-use development, 6,000 capacity venue, blah blah blah. It's going to be 6,000 seat theater style music hall, one of a kind elevated park, reimagined parking, improved pedestrian experience, hotel and retail program. Basically, this is everything that Kevin Warren and the Bears want to do, but they just don't have the space or the real estate manpower that Mr. Jerry Reinsdorf has. To me, this is a distraction, and this distraction from trying to move away from the fact this team is ass, and it's been ass for a long time, and they ain't been worth a damn since Michael Jordan put the mics up and put them big old shoes and stacks that he got on. They have not been that. And you doing all this when all I really want is cup holders. Is it too much to ask for cup holders in the United Center? I don't need all this other stuff to go with this team to come watch mediocre basketball. To me, it's just a little bit, and also a little bit of Jerry Reinsdorf telling the MLB, hey, nigga, give me my new stadium. We talked a little bit on Levitar, I think it was yesterday. David Sampson said that Jerry Reinsdorf is false threatening the MLB that, I'm going to get the team to move if y'all don't give me my new stadium, but the MLB isn't budging. I mean, to me, this is I just had to bring it up because it's a topic this week, but who fucking cares? Like, but build a good basketball team, my nigga.
Right.
You're the bad thing. We said Holmes said on 6-7 that Jerry's doing this. Also, the city with upgrading the UC. Yeah, whatever they trying to do, give me a better basketball team, my nigga. That's what I'm at with this one.
It's Sly. You about to get
and the whole threatening to move the White Sox. The league is not going to let you leave the third largest market in America. It's not going to fucking happen, bro. We're always going to have two baseball teams. Threatening to go to Nashville. First of all, Nashville already has a ownership group in place when they do get an expansion team, so that's dead. Like he's stuck in Chicago. Like
Charlotte said they don't want him.
Yeah, spend your money, bro. Like it's nothing else you can do. Like he can the same parking lots that you own on the fucking South Side, dickhead. Try to renovate something around there to get you some money, and then that will help. But like, no, this is still
look. As a West Sider, I'm just happy that we're revitalizing the West Side. That's it. Like, make the West Side great. You know what I'm saying? Make it look good. Make
the
it
West
great.
Side Child Project.
Yeah, the West Side.
The Out West Child Project.
Yeah. So that's what I like about it as a West Sider. Make that joint look good, extending it. We gonna see the residual effects in some of those other areas. So I'm with that. And if they smart, yes, you're right. They do that on the South Side too, in that area. Yeah. Make that joint good. Or bring that motherfucker, bring the White Sox to the West Side too. You know what I'm saying? Hey, build that shit right there. Get buy some more shit. But Scott, you're right. None of this shit matters because you are the reason why we have a shit product. We can blame AC and West Side all we want to. We can blame the general managers, the presidents, and all of that. But you are the main reason why we got a shit product. And even if the Bulls was terrible, like you just said, if we know that the trajectory is up, we could deal with some losses, a couple of bad seasons to get to where we need to get. We've been in basketball hell for damn near 10 years, my nigga. Fuck that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yup.
So let's move on, Bang. You can chill and let's talk baseball. You can go do your thing for a couple minutes. So Bang, we're gonna bring you back in about 20 minutes. We're gonna talk some Chicago baseball real quick, man. We're gonna talk about what's been going on with the Chicago Cubs. Chicago Cubs have not been doing good. Like they've been trying to be fake, get back into the race with a couple wins, but this offense has been struggling per usual. As I see right now, they are 49-55 last place. They're 11 games behind first place Brewers, and they are basically sixth in the loss column of the final wildcard spot. Mikey, this was your topic. I'm gonna give the floor to you, my man. Go ahead.
No, nothing. I mean, it's just kind of, the state of Chicago baseball on both sides is fucking embarrassing. If the Cubs didn't have that kind of hot April, I mean, they would legitimately probably be, in Oakland A's, Colorado Rockies, Chicago White Sox territory with their records. So I just, want to go back and kind of just show people where, the Cubs have been. I think the Cubs, obviously we know that the Cubs are the favorite team, baseball team in this city. They get a lot of love. They continue to sell out. They have a cute little fucking song when they win.
And a delusional fan base who doesn't know when their shit stinks.
100%. And a delusional fan base that every time the ball's hit in the air, they think it's a fucking home run, but it's a fucking pop-up to the fucking shallow center field. But I digress. I don't want to shit on them today enough than that they're already shitting on their fans. But I think it's gone under the radar how bad they have been over the last few years. As you said right now, they're 49-55. They're 11 games back of first place. They're not winning a division. They're not going to make the wild card. They're about 5.5 games back of that. Last year, they finished in second place in division with an 83-79 record, but 9 games back of the division. 9 games back. No playoffs. 2022, 74-88, third place, 19 games back. 2021, 71-91, fourth place, and they were 24 games back. This division is not the AL Central. How Jerry Reinsdorf was so delusional, say like, oh, we'll be in it because the AL Central is so bad. I mean, like, this division is always there for them. They are always going to spend the most amount of money. Right now, I want to say that they have about $216 million payroll. I know it's top 10. I want to say they're like 6th or 7th in payroll. But who does this fall on? And for me, it all falls on Jed Hoyer. I mean, I've said it from the beginning. Jed Hoyer is not Theo Epstein. Jed Hoyer has built a very flawed product. He is trying to moneyball his way into building a contender, and I think he's stuck between a hard place and trying to contend while also rebuilding. The Cubs have no star power on this team. There's not anybody on that team that you would intentionally walk. There's nobody in that lineup that strikes any fear in you. And I think that's pretty embarrassing and sad for Cubs fans that had aspirations of contending and winning this division. There is no way that the Brewers should be 11 games in front of you. You know, the Brewers lost Corbin Burns. They traded him to the Orioles. They lost Brandon Woodruff to Tommy John. Devin Williams hasn't pitched damn near all year, and they're still 11 games ahead of you. You know, so on top of that, you compound it with the bad signing of Dansby Swanson. You know, terrible. Nobody would take that contract right now. You know, me and Dante always said it. Some team was going to get fleeced by him. He is not a guy that is going to carry this lineup. I think the last I saw, he was batting fucking 7th in the lineup. You know, you don't give $175 million to somebody to bat 7th. So my question, you know, for you, Dante, and where, you know, what is your outlook for the Cubs right now? Because there have been reports, you know, Jed Hoyer did come out this week and he said that they won't be making any moves this season to help push them for the rest of the way, or, you know, anything that they do will be for 2025 and beyond. So that can mean that they're standing pat. I don't think they're standing pat because there's a lot of rumors now on some of their players that might be able to go. But if their plan is to come back and contend next year, how do you see them doing that if they refuse to engage in guys like Juan Soto, Shohei Ohtani, you know, the big time contract guys? How are they going to get that star power? Right now, I don't see it. You know, they're rich in pitching, you know, but their prospects aren't really ready, you know. So I don't know what they're trying to do to try to contend, but I don't see it next year either.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like the hesitancy to spend money is what's fucking them over. Like, you can't keep sitting here and just trying to bank on your prospects. I understand you had them hit the first time, but then when you look at how quickly all of those prospects fell off, even with that, you would think that they would want to position themselves for more of a longer run with the fan base, with Wrigley being, you know, renovated, and now you got this cash cow, you got your own network, so you got the money there to spend it, despite what you spent to upgrade everything around Wrigley. So I don't really get it. I think if anything, if you're not going to add to try to make a push for the wild card, then you have to identify who's going to be on this team next year. Like, who do you absolutely know that, yeah, this is a guy that we're going to try to build around. Not necessarily build around, but this is a guy that we figure can be at peace in what we're building here. You know, you got Seyahu, you got Cody, you got guys who are getting interest from other people. And so now you have to ask yourself, is it worth, you know, sending them out to get prospects and now we start this thing all over again? Or do we just break what we've been doing and finally say, yo, we got to spend a couple bucks. We got to spend some dollars and really try to bring some guys in here. Like you said, the pitching hasn't been the issue. The pitching really held them up for a while. And then finally, you know, they came back to reality, and you have to score. Even in the National League, you got to score runs. And that's something that they haven't been able to do. So I think as far as like, where do they go? I think the first step is just identifying who are we taking into 2025, first of all. Who are we taking into this with us, and who do we think can actually be impactful and help this ball club win games? If you don't do that, if you just stand pat and then see what shakes next year, now you just running in circles. You just running in place now. And I think, you know, the Cub fans, you know, you're probably surprised to hear me say this, but you could honestly say they don't deserve this at this point. Like, you don't tease them like this. You finally get a World Series. You upgrade the oldest park in the game. You know, you get a network, which is basically your own money printer. We've seen the Dodgers and the Yankees do it. The Cubs have a brand that's on par with the Dodgers and the Yankees without any of the winning. So, like, you have a built-in cash cow and you refuse to use it. So I think at the end of the day, they have to spend some money, bro. I'm not saying go out there and break the bank on Soto, but you got to go away with this whole, we're going to try to just do it all in-house and hopefully Craig Counsell, who some games, I don't even know, like, is he sleep? Like, he doesn't have a fucking pulse. He don't argue for his players. He don't do shit. So I'm like, I don't know
if he sleep on that money, pal.
Yeah. And I don't know if he's just taking everything in and just kind of dissecting what it is, because this roster kind of is what it is. But like you said, bro, and like Orla said, like they will have money coming off the books, especially if they make some trades. But they need to they got to pick a lane. Are you gonna start calling up, your Matt Shaw, your Cade Horton, your Owen Casey, and just kind of let them play, and then maybe make a play? Like, they're not gonna get Juan Soto, and that's the crazy part, is because they'll have the money, they have the fan base, they have the thirst for it in their fan base, but they're just not gonna get them. Like, let's be realistic. So you got to go maybe Anthony Santander, and I mean, that's a star. He's not a superstar, but that's a really good player. I mean, he's got 28 home runs. He could play a corner outfield. He could bat switch. He's a switch hitter, lefty, righty. So, like, okay, so you get Anthony Santander. Say you move Say and you throw him in right field.
Yeah.
What is your center field like? They really did botch the Cody Bellinger situation, because I said they should have sold high last year. They had no realistic chance of making the playoffs. And they held on to him. We all said that Scott Boras was going to try to get him to cash out, but the Major League Baseball was going to say, no, prove it again, Cody. Do it again for another year. And everything came out, every team that passed on him has been right. And now he's hurt, and he's got this player option for next year that's at a pretty big tag. I think it's at $30 million a year. So nobody is going to pick that up. So they're pretty much stuck with him now. And then you have PCA, who is very young, but I've always said it, like, I don't see his offensive game. I see him right away. He can contribute on defense. And, if he can get on base, he's a double, because he'll steal a base quickly, but it's very rare that he gets on base. And I just don't see it for him. And they're giving him the opportunity, but like offensively, I just don't see it there. So then you got guys like Ian Happ, who has a no trade clause. There was talks of maybe he would waive it to go home to Pittsburgh, but he legitimately just wants to stay in Chicago. So you're stuck with him. Seiya has a no trade clause. Tyon has a no trade clause. I think this is the
no trade clauses.
This is the one team I think that has like the most no trade clause for motherfuckers.
For no reason.
Kind of right, like no reason. Like, why does Ian Happ have a no trade clause? Like us growing up, like Alex Rodriguez, no trade clause. You know what I'm saying?
Cheater.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, like the top of the top, not fucking Seiya Suzuki. So they have no catcher. They have to address the catching position.
Hey, wait, real quick. Let me ask you this, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that Craig Counsell has gotten like the flu silent talk behind closed doors? Like, hey, this year we're not going to do shit, but next year we're going, because like you said, he hasn't really been like.
Right.
Really
but the thing with that is Jed Hoyer, next year will be his last year on his contract. Now, what are they doing? Like, do you re-sign him? There's no way you could re-sign him, but do you allow him to make the moves for the future this offseason? Like, it's really tough. I think he was banking on a lot of his young guys kind of being ready and them being called up. Outside of Ben Brown and PCA, we haven't seen any of them. Like, there's no reason Alexander Canario shouldn't be getting at-bats in outfield. Like, this guy has 30 home run potential. So it's like I said, they were playing this game of like, are we rebuilding or are we trying to compete? Now that you're 5.5 games out, go ahead and trade Tyon. See what you can get for him. See if you can get another team's top 10 prospect and just start calling some young boys up and letting them play so you can see what 2025 is going to look like. Because right now, like, I don't see a path for them to get better, because they're not going to go and be a big, yes, they will have money, but they're not going to go ahead and bring in those big guys. Like, are you going to go pay, are they going to throw Pete and give Pete Alonso $100 million for a guy that's batting like 225, 230? Like, you're just paying for the power hitting Dansby Swanson. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not really an answer. He's a nice piece, but you need a guy legitimately in your lineup. If you're the Cubs, and you have all this money and you have all this fanfare and you have aspirations of contending, where is your stud in the lineup? You don't have an Acuna, an Olsen, a Riley, even an Ozuna. You don't have a Tatis. You don't have a Machado. Do they make a play for Vlad Guerrero? Like, what do they really do? Because there's no reason that they shouldn't have a star on the north side.
And do you circle back on Pete Alonso? Yeah, you're right. Like, it's a hole there that they have to fill, and you can't try to be this, old school, Charlie Hustle ass team. Like, no, you got to put the ball out of the ballpark. You need multiple people hitting 20, 25, maybe 30 home runs. Like, it's a different ball game now. And like, they know that. And I think that's why I'm starting to think like maybe it's just a situation where they told Council, this year you're going to be our big splash. And we want to, like I've been saying all year, let's see what you can get out of these young guys. And if that don't pan out, okay, then now we'll go jump.
The reason I can't even say that is if you look everything post-championship, the Ricketts kind of been moving like, okay, that's the first title, nigga. And, we got it. We're going to try to win this in a more manageable Jerry Reinsdorf style way. Now, obviously, they're not as cheap as Jerry Reinsdorf. Jerry Reinsdorf would never threw the amount of money they threw at Craig Counsell. But at the end of the day, it's really simple. The Chicago Cubs got to act like they're Chicago Cubs. The New York Yankees, even though they trying to, from the stuff that we've heard from from Cashman, is that we gonna pay Soto, but if we can get them for the low, we gonna try to do that too. But like a team like the Dodgers don't care about money, my nigga. Like, move like you're the biggest team in the third biggest market, and a team that's probably after the Yankees and the Dodgers most popular team in baseball. You need to spend money. It's not like players wouldn't want to come play for Chicago. If just put yourself in the Juan Soto race, put some doubt in the Yankees' head that they can get them. Go that extra mile. You're going to make that money up in a hot second. Them Soto jerseys will fly off the rack super quick. Everybody goes to Wrigley Field, no matter if they win or they lose it. They're a cash cow. It makes no sense to me why they're doing White Sox like stuff. It's as simple as you're the Chicago Cubs, act like it. And I don't even think it matters if it's Jed Hoyer or some other general manager. If that's the mind state the Ricketts have had and that they've shown they've had post-championship, because they didn't even really do much to try to run it back the next year. They kind of just kept trying to squeeze the juice out of that core that, as we see now, ain't really worth nothing. Nobody from that core is really hooping anymore. You know what I'm saying? Or is, Rizzo gets away with murder. Like, I don't know what he's doing in New York. Ain't nobody from that.
He's dead. He's dead, bro. He got like another. Yeah, he's had the concussion injuries, the concussion stuff, and then he got But to Orla's point, you said they don't need Pete when they got Bush at first base. Vlad, yes, Vlad Guerrero is a first baseman now. He is not going back to third base. So I don't, I don't understand like your logic there. Like, you got it, like Vlad is cool, but do they go and try to put Bush, during the offseason, if they were to make that move, try to swing Bush back over to third base where he was coming up with the Dodgers? But, right now, like
I'll say this.
They're not in a good spot.
They're not in a good spot. If I was a Cub fan, and we can move to the White Sox after I say this, but if I was a Cub fan, do I think they'll get Soto? No. But if I'm a Cub, maybe believe you in the race. Like, let me go on right here, MLB Network during the winter. And the Cubs making this tight. They're putting as much money as possible on the table. Like, even last year during the Ohtani chase, like, you heard about other teams, even though he was dead set on going to the Dodgers. Be in the race, my nigga. We ain't heard them be on the race on nothing. Like, even though the Bears missed out on the Saquon, we saw from Hard Knocks. Oh, the Bears are in there. The Bears driving the price up on Saquon.
Bryce Harper was like this. Accept me. Yes. My dog's name is Wrigley. I'm rocking the Blackhawks hat. Like, I wanted to accept me, and they said no. So, and obviously Ohtani was only going to go to the Dodgers. That's cool, but like, Judge was a free agent. They weren't really in on that. I don't see how they're going to do it, and I don't think they have a homegrown star unless they trade Nico. They can move Bush to second. See, like, this is my thing. You're thinking the way Jed Hoyer is thinking. Exactly. You're just trying to change people and put people in spots. Like, no, get a fucking guy. It's the same way we were talking about the center position. Get a fucking legitimate center. Get a legitimate wide receiver. Don't Devin Hester this shit. Don't get somebody that was good at one thing and try to change them to another position. Act like you're the fucking Cubs. The Braves, they got a legitimate first baseman. And Matt Olson, they have a legitimate second baseman. You look at that roster and you look at these lineups, there's no switching. These are people that are good at their position. Do that. More of that, less of the other Moneyball bullshit, Tampa Bay Rays style shit.
Yeah, I think that's really hindered a lot of players. And I think we've seen a lot of guys, been knocked off in their career because when you force them to start learn a new position, when they've been playing a certain position their entire life, and we just expect people to just be able to plug and play. That's something that, yeah, it was cool when Matt did it, but it's not something that everybody can do. And I think like you're starting to see people get back to, everybody's not a fucking utility player. And so when you have teams with, like, for example, the two teams in Chicago, we still trotting Gavin Sheets out there like he's a fucking starting left fielder, which is absolutely ridiculous. But I mean, we about to get into that. It gets to a point where it's like, no, like you have to get people who are at the position that they play, that they feel comfortable in. We're not trying to teach you something new. Just go out there and play baseball. Do your job.
Yeah, man. Let's pivot to the South Side. Their season was over March 30th. When the season started, they're on pace for the worst record in MLB history. And the worst part is them niggas ain't gonna have their draft pick to actually make that actually mean something. Let's talk about Sox players most likely to be moved. There's been a lot of rumors about Luis Robert, a lot of rumors about Garrett Crochet. Whether or not, I don't know if the other pitching moves they are gonna make him stay with the White Sox. Then we also got some young pitchers that's been playing well. I'm gonna go to you, Dante.
Yeah, man. Like I said, it's a lot of talk about the White Sox. We've pretty much known since day one that they're gonna tear it down, and so now it's just a matter of where these guys are gonna go. Obviously the asking price is high. They're trying to get as much as possible, especially for a guy like Luis Robert, who we know the potential. But I think one thing with Robert that's hindering them, people are just going ahead and giving that big haul, is the fact that he's been injured. He's been injured a lot, like most Chicago White Sox. That's a guy, he's got interest from, I believe, Baltimore, the Dodgers, and there was one more team, Mikey, Philadelphia. And Philadelphia, you even saw people floating things like, a Justin Crawford, who's a young guy, young top prospect. I think he's hitting like 308 in either high A or double A. No, he's made it to double A already, and he's only 20 years old. So that's a guy that you wouldn't have to rush. He can grow into being your center fielder of the future. So that's a guy who I think, he probably will be moved. Garrett Crochet gets a little tricky, because now he's pretty much narrowing down his market by letting people know, if you don't give me an extension, I'm not pitching in the playoffs. Like, flat out. Like, I'm only willing to pitch in the playoffs if this is the team that's going to extend me and, give me that insurance that he feel like he need, which he does need. He's already had one Tommy John, and, this is his first season. He's already pitched more innings this year than he has in any other season of his career. So I think that's a guy who the return could be high, because you're giving away a guy with some years of team control. Even if he does sign that extension, with the control that he has and the ability he's shown, you can get some good prospects for him. So those are two guys that are on top of the list to go. I still think they get rid of Tommy Pham. He wasn't brought here to be a fucking, piece. He's definitely a guy that can, add a little spark to a playoff team coming off the bench. And so that's a guy that I think we will definitely see move too. Mikey's talked about this guy a lot this year. Fetto, going over to Tokyo, getting his career back, getting his his career back together as a pitcher, and now he's made himself a piece that can, bring something back. And I think that's somebody who we could also see move. Like, so Mikey, out of those four, I know we obviously know about Robert and Crochet. I know you said something earlier about probably those guys not moving until the offseason. So what are you thinking about with the Sox right now?
Yeah, it's kind of come out right now that it's less and less likely that either of them, Luis Robert or Garrett Crochet, get moved. Obviously, Crochet really hurt his trade value, but coming out yesterday with those kind of like demands that I need, if a team is going to trade for me, then I need a contract extension. And from all reports, it's going to be one that's about, $100 million or more is what he's asking for in order for him to expand, on his innings and to pitch, deep into October. I want to know how the White Sox feel about that, because if I was them, I'd be salty with Garrett Crochet, because you really kind of like shot our whole plans up. Luis Robert was always going to be difficult to move during the middle of the season, just because of his injury concerns and the asking price that they were asking for. I think a lot of teams were waiting for him to come back, see how he performed when healthy. I think he's got like an OPS of like 765 in the month of July alone. So, I mean, he's hitting the ball. He's being able, he's out there being able to play every day. But I just think what they're asking for is too big. I kind of wonder if Chris Getz might have fucking fucked up on this one, to be honest, just because Garrett Crochet has had a market for like the last 2 months. Why wasn't he moved in? I know that they're asking for a lot, but when you see teams, there have been some trades that have come in from last night into today. When you see Randy Arozarena go to the Mariners were like the number one team on Luis Robert. When you see Zach Eflin from the Rays go to the Orioles in division, when the Orioles clearly were in on Garrett Crochet, but they don't want to give up prospects and meet that, that ask of Chris Getz, like that takes somebody off the board. The Dodgers, they got Kershaw back yesterday. He pitched about 4 innings. He looked pretty solid, six Ks, 2 earned runs. But are they going to be able to depend on him? So I really wonder about, those two being moved now, and it's looking less and less likely. I know Garrett Crochet spoke about an hour ago, and he was kind of like non-committal on, what came out yesterday, the reports that he was demanding a contract. He said, I'm not going to speak on that. They asked him how he felt about, possibly making his last start on Sunday. He said, it is what it is. I'm just focused on pitching for the White Sox right now. So he was really quiet. I think he probably got a talk or two from the upper management about, his demands kind of leaking. But there still are guys on this team that'll go. Eric Fetty should go. I think the Milwaukee Brewers should 100% be in on him. Maybe you could do a twofer. Christian Yelich is out. Maybe you can package Eric Fetty and Tommy Pham. That could be a deal that could work for the Brewers so they can shore up because they know that they're going to be in the playoffs. You get another arm, obviously, there. The Mets could use another starting pitcher. I know they just picked up Ryan Stanek from the Mariners, back-end bullpen relief. So out of guys that could be moved, I see Tommy Pham. I see Paul DeJong. I see Eric Fetty. I've been hearing rumors of Chris Flexen being on the block. There were even rumors that if Andrew Vaughn was having even a decent year, he would have been gone. I think Chris Getz is not married to anybody on this team except the guys that he brought in last year via trade. The Corey Lees, the Edgar Carrolls, the pitchers that are down in the minors. And the White Sox really do and really are building a really good farm base with pitching. But one thing that is severely lacking is just bats and position players. So I can see why they're looking at teams like the Orioles, because the Orioles, they got people blocked all over. I mean, the Orioles have a 20-year-old catcher in AA who is a fucking beast, but he's blocked by Adley Rutschman. Obviously, Jackson Holliday is blocked by Gunnar Henderson at shortstop, and I know they want to move him to second base, but then you got guys like Jordan Westburg, Colton Cowser, that are really contributing in the middle of a playoff push right now. I mean, Jordan Westburg just hit a home run like 15 minutes ago. You got Kyle Stowers in the minors. You still got Connor Norby. Like, these are all guys that the White Sox should be trying to get. But it seems like maybe a deal for Garrett Crochet is probably, and Luis Robert is going to have to wait until the offseason, man.
Yeah, I've got no take on that because I'm boycotting. I'll say this. I'll say this as somebody who I don't understand why you got to trade them again with. Like, I think that both of them have pretty respectful contracts. I think that you still need star power for whenever the hell they plan on being competitive again. I think you should keep them. I don't see I understand you want to get prospects back and shit like that, but I wouldn't trade them. But that's just me.
Right. But to your point, they don't see themselves being competitive. They got both Robert and Crochet for the next 2 years. So they're telling you right now, we're not going to be competitive until about 2027. So why should we pay for them? Bob Nightingale came out, and we know how Bob Nightingale is when he reports.
He's only right with the White Sox.
Only right with the White Sox. He's got to end with LaRussa and end with Jerry.
The fact that LaRussa is still involved in the organization tell you everything you need to know, by the way.
Yeah, and secretly, secretly they're really like inside the organization. They're really trying to get Terry Francona to come out of retirement.
All these old niggas, man.
Oh, Terry's not old, but Terry. Sick. He's sick. He
That's
got
what
health
I'm saying.
concerns.
If Terry's healthy, but there's a reason the nigga retired.
Yeah. So like, they just don't see themselves being competitive in the next 2 years. So they're like, fuck it. Why pay for it? I got to pay for the 1901 shit.
For all my friends who still that product on 35th and Shields, God bless. We're going to take our first break. We'll be back in 16 seconds. J.R. Bang will be back joining us. And we're going to get back into some more football, man. Going to break down the NFC West. And on the other side of this break, we'll be right back.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice tray, go for trade, yeah, we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the
And we are back for the second hour, the second block here on I'm Not Gonna Hold You, man. We're going to talk about the NFC West. We've been doing our Inside Division series, and now we are in our final NFC division. That is the NFC West, home to the San Francisco 49ers, Los Angeles Rams, Seattle Seahawks, and the Arizona Cardinals. Man, let's start off with the team that won the NFC West the last couple years, and the team that has won the NFC last year, and that is the San Francisco 49ers. They went 12-5 last year, won the NFC West, and won the NFC Championship in a shaky kind of a playoff run, man. You know, they almost lost both of them playoff games that they won. Went to Super Bowl, played a very, very, very tough game against the Kansas City Chiefs, lost in overtime to the Kansas City Chiefs. They've got Brock Purdy coming back, Deebo Samuel's back as well. You've got Nick Bosa, everybody back on there. They got a new defensive coordinator this year. And then also you got the two holdouts right now. You got Brandon Ayuk, who's holding out for a new deal, and Trent Williams, who's still under contract, but all his guaranteed money is gone, and he is trying to get some more money as well. As far as them, I think it's, business as usual for the San Francisco 49ers. I do think that eventually they will give Brandon Ayuk his money, because I don't really think that, they want to get rid of him. And we've also been hearing from a lot of top NFL sources that if the Niners had their choice of who they want to keep long-term between Deebo and Brandon Ayuk, that they would rather keep Brandon Ayuk. There's a lot of people out there who don't really look at Deebo as 100% pure wide receiver the way Brandon Ayuk is. And, he's been around camp. He reported to camp. He did not hold out. So that's something that you have to pay attention to. I do think eventually he will get his deal. And I do think eventually they'll re-alter Trent Williams' deal in some other way as well to get him his money. But the fact that matters is, it don't matter what the 49ers do in the regular season. Are you going to win a Super Bowl? That's really what it comes down for this team. The Super Bowl bust. They've been to the Super Bowl twice in the last 5 years. They lost both times to the Kansas City Chiefs. I've been saying this for the longest time. I'm going to continue to say it. Unless you have a superstar quarterback, you're not going to be beating other superstar quarterbacks. I don't think Brock Purdy's a bad quarterback. I think Brock is a lot better than I thought he would. I think Brock is a very good quarterback. He can get you, obviously, he can get you to the Super Bowl. And I don't think Brock was the reason that they lost the Super Bowl either. But if you have a quarterback that can make plays and do the things you need to do to win because of, then I think they'd have won last year. Well, not that they won, but I think it helped. The defense obviously is part of the reason that they lost. But I think that their road to the playoffs, to the Super Bowl, wouldn't have been as sketchy. They should have lost to the Detroit Lions. They should have lost maybe to the Green Bay Packers. They didn't have their usual dominant number one seed performance. I still got questions on Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan did a lot of dumbass stuff in the heat of the games, which he is known from doing ever since his days of offensive coordinator back in Atlanta. So at the end of the day, it comes down to whether or not they're going to win the championship and whether or not they're going to pay Brandon Ayuk. Those, to me, are the two main storylines for the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to go to Bang next, man. Bang, what do you think about the Niners' mindset or storylines heading into this new season?
The Niners is one of those teams where when you look at the success of it, you're like, okay, yeah, that's there. And you look at the amount of stars on the team, yeah, that's there. And you look at that they have been to a couple of Super Bowls, may not have won it, but they've been there. Yeah, that's fair. But then you also look at the failed experiment with Trey Lance. You look at the fact that they have other people that they need to get under contract, like Brandon Ayuk, get him squared away, and Trent Williams, who is the best left tackle in the game, and he wants to be paid like such. They're one of those teams where when you looked at the rookie wage scale and you said, we have all this talent around, you don't want to pay the quarterback like that, them and the Eagles were the two teams that was the poster child or the poster for this. But as you said, you need a superstar quarterback to beat another superstar quarterback. And I don't think that they have that. And you're about to pay that man, which means if you pay that man, you can't pay everybody because he's going to get paid. If you look at the amount of money that these quarterbacks is getting right now, You have a quarterback who just went to a Super Bowl. You're not going to pay him less than Trevor Lawrence. You're not going to pay him less than Tua, what Tua just got. And Tua just got 53 a year. I think it was 167 guaranteed. So if you're the San Francisco 49ers, you have to look at this and say that Brock Purdy is about to get the biggest raise in NFL history. And the moment he do that, the moment you're going to have to lose some people. So I say all of that to say this might be the first year where we look at the San Francisco 49ers and say, hey, they might not be going anywhere outside of winning the division. And I think that's where they're at right now, especially with some of the things that's happening on the horizon. They're lucky they're in the division that ain't that good.
Dante, what you think about the outlook of the Niners?
I think the outlook is the same every year for the Niners at this point. It's Super Bowl or bust. You know, as you like to say, Scott, you didn't play with enough times when you're gonna go all the way. You feel me? Like at this point, you have the talent, you have the coaching staff, and you are a few missed plays away from 2 Super Bowls. So it's to the point where it's Super Bowl or bust. The Brandon Ayuk, I think you got to get that situation under control. You got to give him his money. I think he is a vital part of that offense. As great as an athlete as Debo is, I think we're starting to see now. With like Leggett over in South Carolina. You can find an athlete that you can use. No disrespect to Debo, because he has done some amazing things these last few years. But given the way that scheme is set up, he's more likely to be replaced than a Brandon Ayuk for everything they want to do. So I think at this point you need to pay him, lock him in, and as the division. I'm not really concerned with anybody in the division. I understand the Rams won 10 games last year. They still have an amazing head coach. But in terms of the division, I still think it's theirs to lose, and I still think in terms of the NFC, they probably are the best team in the NFC. So for me, my outlook on the Niners, it doesn't change right now. They're Super Bowl or bust.
Mikey, close us out on the Niners.
No, like you said, it's business as usual with this team. But this will probably be the last year that we see this team as configured, because they do have really big questions, and I don't know how they answer it. Like Banks said, Brock Purdy's going to make the largest pay raise in NFL history. Right now, he was on a 4-year, $3.27 million deal. Obviously, was taken later, so there's no 5th-year option with him. Based on his production, he's been more productive than Trevor Lawrence, and we saw what Trevor Lawrence got. If he plays at the same pace that he was playing at last year, you got to remember too, that Christmas weekend matchup with Purdy and Lamar, like that was a battle not only of the 2 best teams in the league, but that was a battle for the MVP. If Purdy doesn't throw those 4 picks and he throws 1 pick and he throws 3 TDs, Purdy was going to win the MVP award, not Lamar Jackson. So, they're looking at possibly everything I've been seeing is a Purdy extension would be at about $65 million a year for a total of $325 million if he has another season like he had last year. So where do you can't pay an Ayuk, you can't pay a Trent Williams, you can't pay a Debo, like everybody takes a hit. So this is a year I think that they're all going to be hungry, because in sports, we see it all the time with teams. We're seeing it with the Warriors. Obviously, the Warriors are broken up, and like they kind of play with a little bit of extra passion, knowing that, hey, this is the last time that I'm going to be in the locker with these guys, because there will be pay cuts. Their outlook in the AFC West, man, I think they're still going to be fine. They're going to probably run into some problems with the Seahawks. I think they always play competitive games with the Seahawks, especially with Mike McDonald. You got a defensive head coach there that obviously can scheme well. The Seattle Seahawks have some players on defense. But I think it's still the Niners division. It is Super Bowl or bust for them. That is one team that we can literally say it's Super Bowl or bust for them. The Chiefs right now, they could go out there and lose in the championship game or in the second round, and nobody will really say anything because of everything they've done before. But the Niners have consecutively got there and have just fallen short every time. So for them, it's Super Bowl or bust, because people will be gone.
Speaking quickly about what you just brought up, the Chiefs. God bless the Las Vegas Raiders on October 27th. Did y'all see his response today?
Yeah.
He said he'll handle it when we handle it.
What did Byron Scott say to Michael Jordan total? 50.
Yep.
That's
50.
that thing's gonna be like 50. Let's move on to the team that finished second in the NFC West. That is a team that resides in Los Angeles, the SoFi Stadium. It is the Los Angeles Rams. They went 10-7 last year. Lost to the Lions in the wild card round at Ford Field, one of the most hyped games of the last couple of years, with Matthew Stafford returning to Detroit. Their outlook is they got Matthew Stafford back, restructured his contract. Of course, their great coach Sean McVay is back. They've got Puka Nacua year 2. Can Cooper Kupp have a bounce back year after dealing with all those injuries last year? The defense definitely takes a hit as the best defensive tackle I have seen in my entire life. Aaron Donald is retired, and he will not be on this team next year. I think a lot of people, I kind of like what you said, Dante. A lot of people are going to give the Rams the benefit of the doubt just because of how well Matthew Stafford has played since he's gotten to Los Angeles, just how great of a coach Sean McVay is. And, also just that those two wide receivers, Puka Nacua had a record-setting rookie year last year. Cooper Kupp still is Cooper Kupp. I think that defense takes a massive hit because just of how great Aaron Donald was, it affected the rest of the team. I don't think they're going to be as potent as years past. And I'm not buying it. I think they're going to finish lower than second. I'm going to tell y'all who I think is going to finish second in a minute. But I'm not buying the Rams stock this year. I think they'll still be able to put up points. I think offensively they'll be cool. They'll be middle of the road, and they'll be able to put up enough to be in games. Nobody's going to be blowing these cats out or nothing like that. And I don't think they'll be like 6-7. I think they'll probably still win 8 or 9 games. I don't think that's going to cut it to get one of those wild card spots in the NFC. But I think they take a massive step back just because they don't have any game records like an Aaron Donald on defense this year. And I don't think that McVay's magic is going to be enough for them this year. And I think that's going to run out for them, that their time is kind of be up as one of the top teams in the NFC. Bang, what you see from the Rams this year?
I look at a quarterback that I don't know if he really wants to be there or not. Once you start talking about retirement, it's like, okay, you're probably halfway out. They do got a running back room that I'm jealous of. Kyron Williams turned out to be a shock to some, but he was one of my fantasy picks, and I started him day one. I was aware. Puka, he turned out to be better than advertised as well, and him and Cooper is going to be good. Defensively is the question. How do you replace Aaron Donald? That's it. I think the team is good enough to come back and still win 9-10 games offensively, but defensively, how do you replace probably the best defensive player of this generation? I don't know if you can, but I do have Jared Verse as my rookie of the year on the defensive side of the ball. I do think that he's going to have a hell of a year with that team. I just don't know if they're going to be good enough defensively to keep up. That is the question, but I do have them having the defensive player of the year, and I got money attached to it too.
Dante, marinate a little more on the Rams from what you were kind of saying not too long ago.
Yeah, bro. I think, it's one of those things where, we give people the benefit of the doubt based on what they've done in the past, which is one of those situations where I think overall the loss of Aaron Donald will be felt. You have to scheme that defense completely in a completely different way. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't one of the cornerbacks just get hurt?
Yeah, one of the corners did get hurt.
Yeah, he started cornerback. He tore his ACL. He's out for the year.
Yeah, ACL done for the year, so you got to replace him. And I know the cornerback group was one of the strengths of that team, but, losing a starter is never good. So I just think overall it's a team that you'll see, possibly at Seattle. Arizona's done a lot, but I don't know if this is the year they make a jump into competing, for the top of this division. But I think this is a team that we can see slide back to that 9-8, 8-9 type of record. And because, the offense will always be competent. They'll always be able to put up points. But how do you, like you said, how do you replace a perennial All-Pro and a future Hall of Famer, so that's what I want to see. I know McVay offense is his specialty, so we'll see how, him and his coaches go about trying to replace Aaron Donald.
Mikey, what was your thoughts on the Rams?
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, their offense is going to be able to put up points. I have all the trust in the world in Matthew Stafford, those wide receivers, and Sean McVay being able to keep his team in it. Like Bang said, Kyron Williams is a beast. They have everything you need on offense, so they'll be able to stay in games there. But defensively, I mean, it's going to be tough. That's why I look to that Week 4 as a Bears fan, that's why I look to that Week 4 matchup with the Rams. Like, those are kind of those games that you got to have. Like, that is a big game because you're looking at a potential wild card team right there. So that could have wild card implications. But towards the back end of the season, the month of December is really tough for them, man. This is where I think they kind of falter. They got the Buffalo Bills. They're at San Francisco. They're at the Jets. Then you got 2 divisional games with the Cardinals and the Seahawks. That's really tough. That's tough on a defense that we don't know about yet. And you do have an aging quarterback. So I have them finishing 3rd in the division. I think they'll still be able to put up points. I think they'll still be in games. I just don't know if they'll be able to have enough to pull out games with their defense compared to some of the offenses that they will be going up against. I mean, Week 4, they play the Bears. We already know that this is an improved offense. And then they got Green Bay, the very next week. So that's those are 2 tough games, and then they have a very early bye, Week 6. So we'll see, but I got them in 3rd place.
Yeah, I think we agree on that one as far as their standing. This next team is who I feel is going to finish dead last in this division this year. That is the Seattle Seahawks, man. The Seattle Seahawks finished 9-8 last year, missed the postseason. They have a new era for the first time in a decade. They've got a new head coach as Mike McDonald. He was the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens the last 10 years. He takes over for Pete Carroll, who amicably split with the team, which is a respectful way of nigga get your old ass fuck up out of here. So they also this is kind of a make or break year for Geno. Geno's had a pretty good 2 years, probably the best 2 years of his career, the last 2 years. But this is something, there was conversations of maybe they were going to enter the Justin Field trade talks to try to replace him. They went out there and they got Sam Howell, who was in Washington last year, as his backup. I think this is something where either Geno is going to be really, really good and continue to put up the big numbers that he really put up 2 seasons ago to cement himself as a long-term quarterback, even though he is a little long in the tooth. The nigga's not young. Or they decide to, Geno, we appreciate everything you did for us. And we're gonna move on. They still got DK Metcalf there. Obviously, he's gonna go out there, do the things he's gonna do, but I'm not expecting nothing from this team whatsoever. I think they will finish dead last in this division. I think Mike McDonald will have a rough start to his head coaching career. Bang, do you agree with what I'm saying about the Seahawks? You got a different take, or a little more positive take on the Seahawks or not?
A much more positive take. I have a much more positive take. I think this is one of my surprise teams in the NFC. I think this team is going to be better than advertised because defensively, this team is going to be great. I think that they have all of the makings for that, even though one of their defensive tackles is reportedly a freak man. I think that they're going to be. I think this team.
Hashtag balls too.
Yes, so
such a wild thing, bro. It was a wild story.
But on a different note, pause. I felt them, bro. You gotta mind them. They're not down there for no reason.
So yeah, just so happens to be that the person that I guess he was talking to had balls too. So
okay.
I couldn't. Hey, that was good comedic time, right? But no, I think this team is going to be better than advertised. And since this to me is one of the weaker divisions in the NFL, I think that the competition is going to be there for second place, and I think this is the team that is going to be in second place.
Go ahead, Dante.
I got nothing for the Seahawks. I think they're gonna take a step back. I think first year new offense is gonna definitely be different. Geno has to learn another offense. So just seeing, how the new offensive coordinator can utilize those weapons and make Geno comfortable and have him, at his best. But, with that being said, I think they take a step back. This is a team that I'll probably predict to finish last in the division this year.
Mikey, go ahead, close out with the Seahawks.
I mean, I think that they have a really good team. I mean, they have skilled position players. You got Kenneth Walker, you got Zach Charbonnet, you have a lockdown running back room. You obviously got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. And they got players on defense and Witherspoon. So I just want to see what their offense is like. I really, I can't call it because you have a defensive minded head coach that's coming in. He's a rookie first time head coach. So they like to play games a little bit closer. We saw that in Chicago with Flus. A little bit more conservative on the play calling. I agree. This is going to be another system that Geno has to learn. I don't know where to put them. I think that they're about a 500 team or maybe a 9-win team. They could be sneaky with good health. And if the defense adapts to their coach's personality. So I really don't know. Like I'm really kind of tossing and turning if I want to throw them in second place or fourth place, but I'm going to throw them in second place just because I think they have more than enough offensively to be able to stay in games, at least with the running game. And, defensive head coach, if he can bring a personality that those players adapt to, then they should be fine. And they have a favorable first 2 games. They got the Broncos and the Patriots, but then you got a tough one, Dolphins, Lions. It's all about how you finish when I look at these schedules. And they finished the month of December with New York Jets, Arizona Cardinals, Green Bay, Vikings, Bears, Rams. It's pretty tough. Like I said, that could be another, potential wild card implication game, with the Seahawks down the road.
Indeed, man. Let's wrap this division up with the team that finished dead last in the NFC West last year. That was the Arizona Cardinals. They went 4-13 after, Kyler Murray didn't really come back from injury, sat down, missed the playoffs. They drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 4. You will be joined up with the presumed healthy Kyler Murray, man. I'm buying high on the Cardinals, man. I'm buying high on the Cardinals. I think I'm one of the few who still think that Kyler Man Murray still has a little bit of game in him. And I think he's probably underrated in that aspect. And I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is a freak of nature. Yeah, Marvin Harrison, there's not much more to be said about that. I think this offense can really put up some points. I think they've got a good running back room, and I think the defense will be enough to really make stops. I'm going as high on them that I think they'll finish second in the division.
What?
Yes, I'm selling high. I'm selling high on the Arizona Cardinals at Orlando. We will be an Arizona sleeper team in that division. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs. I got them in that 9 and 8 round. You know what I'm saying? 8-9 round, but I think they'll be much better than what they've done before. And I believe in that team more than the other teams. And that is it a hot take? Yes, but I'm standing on that hot take. We'll see later on this season if I'm a dumbass or not when it comes to this. But I'm buying high on the Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. tandem. Bang, I know you disagree with me on that. What you feel about the Cardinals?
Hell yeah, that ain't enough. Like, that ain't enough. Like, I mean, I know James Conner is there, but he's oft injured. They got Paris Johnson that's going to move over. I think he's moving over to left tackle, but that offensive line needs hella work. Outside of that, the defense, like they didn't. That's this. Outside of Marvin Harrison, this is a team where I can't see where they improved. I can't, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I don't see it.
I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a big improvement.
No, that's why I said outside of Marvin Harrison Jr., I can't see, especially on the defensive side, where they improved. I think this team is going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. I think this team. Matter of fact, if you want to give a hot take, I give you a hot take.
Go ahead.
These are one of the teams that's going to be poor for Shador. Or trying to cut some checks for Beck. Like
some checks for Beck. I was wondering what the Carson Beck was going to be.
I think this is Kyler Murray's last season with the Arizona Cardinals, Jack. I think this team goes into full rebuild mode, and they're already in rebuild mode after this. So yeah, I don't see it.
Go ahead, Dante. Are you on my side or you with Bang?
I'm on your side.
Thank you.
I actually think when you look at the Cardinals last year, they lost a lot of games that they could have won. It was a lot of games where you could look like they were tanking for Caleb, where they would be up or they would be playing well for 3 quarters and then completely shit the bed in the 4th quarter. I think you get a lot less of that this season. I do think the Kyler Marvin connection will be extremely good. We forget how good Kyler was when he had, DeAndre Hopkins. I know things didn't end the way they wanted them to, but they were able to put some numbers up before, the injuries happened. So I think with a full year healthy Kyler, adding Marvin Harrison Jr., and like I said, last year, there were a lot of games that they were in for 3.5 quarters, and then they just blew it. So I think this is a team that will compete. I think, I agree. I got them in second, and they could be a sleeper. But right now, I have them finishing second in it. Like I said, second in this division.
Mikey, close us out.
I think there'll be a fun offense to watch. Obviously, you know, with Trey McBride at tight end, he was a weapon that, you know, when Kyler kind of came back last year, he kind of leaned on him. You still got James Conner. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. I know they drafted Paris Johnson at their tackle, so another year of that. That was, you know, they drafted him last year. But Vegas isn't high on them, Scott. So, you know, I know you're not gambling, but, man, fuck it. If you're as high on them as you think you are, Vegas has their win total set at 6.5.
Okay.
They're not really, you know, getting the love that you're showing them.
It's not that far from 8. I had 8, 9. It's not that far from 8.
I mean, all you need is 7. All you need is 7. But yeah, I just don't see it with them. You know, Kyler Murray, since he came in the league, you know, he was durable at first. Rookie year, 16 games played. Sophomore year, 16 games played. Third year, 14, 11, and 8. You know, so now we're starting to see a little bit of an injury concern pile up in the last 2 seasons. So let's just see how he can rebound, see if he can be able to stay on the field. I think if he stays on the field, he'll be able to put up some crazy numbers with Marvin. But I got them finishing last in the division. They did play hard last year when, you know, that whole Josh Dobbs era. They really did play hard. And I like that from a first-year coach with Jonathan Gannon. But I still don't think they have enough yet to at least keep up with the Seahawks, with the Niners, and with the Rams. Like they're not on that level yet. So I got them finishing 4.
Y'all see that schedule they got?
Nah.
But see, I don't hold the schedule as heavy.
Because you never know who's going to be good or not.
Boy, they start off with Buffalo. They go against the Rams.
Buffalo's a winnable game this year.
Boy, at Buffalo? At Buffalo. They're on the road at Buffalo. Then they go against the Rams. Then they go against the fuck them niggas Lions. Then they go against the Commanders. Then they go against San Francisco. Then they go up against Green Bay.
I'm mad you said Commanders. Like
those are
winnable games, bro.
Why that's a winnable game? You look at how they start off the season. They're more than likely starting off the season 0-3.
They got a 6-game stretch, bang. Now that I look at it, and I know the schedule but look, they got at San Francisco, at Green Bay, Chargers, winnable game, but Chargers, Monday Night Football, at Miami, Bears, Jets. That's a tough 6-game stretch right there. If the teams, you know, that we think they are, all it takes is one injury, though. All it takes is one Josh Allen injury, and Buffalo's a winnable game. But they do have a tough schedule, and they don't have the most talent.
Boy, that's supposed to be a last place schedule. Shit, if that's a last place schedule, I don't want it. Like our last place schedule, I'm thankful for. This last place schedule, they basically was like, y'all niggas gonna suck again. Like, this team. That's why when you put this on the docket, I was like, let me go look at these niggas' schedule. Because at first I was like, y'all like, okay, I know I'd be shitting on the Cardinals, maybe. Now the back half of the year, you got some hope because they got the Vikings. That's good. They got Minnesota, which I think Minnesota, as much as I don't like these niggas, I think defensively they're gonna be straight.
Gonna score no points, bro.
Like defensively, but I think defensively they're gonna be good. Like the Vikings defensively is gonna be straight. They got the Patriots, that's a win. They got Carolina, that's a win. But then you end the season in LA, and then you end the season against the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, they not getting past that 6.5.
It's gonna be interesting.
7 is tough.
I think there'll be a fun team offensively, and we'll see in a couple months if I'm right or not. But that concludes inside the NFC West. Next week we'll start on the AFC, and we'll start on the team that's probably on the division that's probably the toughest in football, and will be the subject of Hard Knocks in season. That is AFC North. We'll be checking it out next week. Let's go around the shield, as I'm going to call this year. We go into a lot of the top news in the NFL right now. Let's talk about some of these hold-ins and holdouts. You got Hassan Reddick, who was traded to the New York Jets from the Philadelphia Eagles this year. He is holding out. He has not arrived at camp. He wants a new contract. We've got CeeDee Lamb, who is probably a top 3 wide receiver in the game. He is holding out. He is not at camp as well. He's looking for that big, massive contract. And then you got the biggest news of the week. Jordan Love I've watched Jordan Love, the star quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, is holding in. All reports are saying from Green Bay media, from national media, that they're expecting. They've been saying the last 3 days that this deal is going to happen any day now. He does have the best agent in football, David Mulgeta. He's the one who's going to get all the great deals for his clients. I think it's just a matter of time. I don't think this is such a big deal. As far as the situation, he is going to get a massive contract. As we know, each deal just keeps setting up for the other. He's probably going to be the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. My thing is this: out of all these, the one that is the most dangerous to me seems like CeeDee Lamb. This is something where Jerry Jones he's in peak senile right now. He's got a situation more and more with him, and it feels like Dak Prescott's like, I'm gonna chuck you niggas the deuce this upcoming spring. I'm up out of this joint. You got Michael Parsons contract extensions coming up in a little bit. The CD is at worst a top 3 wide receiver in football. He definitely deserves that contract. I don't know what the holdup is from getting that, and it feels like he's hell bent on not reporting to camp until he actually gets that contract. So I think that's the one that stands out more than anything. Is something that is a big deal here. I think Hassan Reddick is going to be worked out. I would be shocked if this goes into the actual season. My only question with the Jordan Love thing is why hasn't it happened? They've been saying all week. This is a matter of time. What's the holdup? What's the language that's the hold up on that? I think this conversation in general, and we'll get to Tua in a little bit, is now you're seeing quarterbacks. And by the way, Jordan Love had a great year last year. He started off, had a little patch. He wasn't that good. He had a great finish to the season, got us into the playoffs, won a playoff game. He had a good year. He would have had the best statistical season in Chicago Bears history. So I'm not trying to dump on him on a non-biased media perspective. I just kind of feel like they're going to be paying him for what they hope they do, which they backed themselves into a corner when they got rid of Aaron Rodgers. They gave the keys to him, so they're living and die with him. So I'm not mad at paying him, but you're going to start seeing this trend where a lot of these quarterbacks, there's not a lot of elite guys. They're going to be paid for one. We just can't find a better option for you and things we hope you're going to do in the future. Mikey, what does any of these hold out stand to you, and what do you think about the Jordan Love contract thing?
The one that really stands out to me is CD, like you said, man. It's really tough. It's a really tough position. I don't give a fuck. Fuck, I'm not a Cowboys fan, but it's a really tough position to be in if you're the Dallas Cowboys right now, because you have your 3 cornerstone players that all need money. And it's kind of similar to what we were talking about in with San Francisco. San Francisco is just fortunate enough that Brock doesn't need a deal right now. If this was 2024 and Brock needed a deal with all of those guys, it might have been over with. So CD is the one to me that is really tough, because I agree. I have him as a top 5 wide receiver. I have him top 3. I have him over Jamar Chase. I know a lot of people don't, but I do. I really do like CeeDee Lamb's game. But what are your key positions? Quarterback, left tackle, and somebody that can put the quarterback on his ass. They got that in Michael Parsons. They need to pay him. They have to make a decision on Dak Prescott. And I don't know if you can afford to pay CeeDee Lamb while he's still under contract and not know what your long-term future is at quarterback. It's a really tough position to be in. I want to see if he ends his holdout reports and they try to come back to him next year. If it was me personally, I think CeeDee Lamb is somebody that if Jerry Jones loves Dak the way he says he does, and he loves Michael Parsons the way he says he does, then I think CeeDee Lamb is expendable, because we're seeing more and more now. Every year, wide receivers get drafted, come in, rookie deals, and they put up 1,000 yards easy, and they put up 1,200 yards easy, and they fucking take off, and you can find them a dime a dozen how people used to find running backs. So out of all of the players on the Dallas Cowboys have, CeeDee Lamb is the most expendable. So I'm interested to see how long this lasts. I don't know if they rework his deal but not give him a long-term contract. I don't know. And it has ramifications everywhere else, because next year Jamar Chase needs a contract, and he's definitely going to be looking at CeeDee Lamb's deal. As far as Jordan Love, though, I mean, they played a really tough game with him by drafting him in the first round, but not taking advantage of that 5th-year option. I know they reworked that deal last year to kind of give him some money, whatever. But now it's time to pay the piper, and he balled out, man. You know, his last half of the season is a total 180 compared to what he was the first, 6 games of the season. Obviously, I think the holdup with him was just waiting to see what Tua got. I think they're probably going to come in maybe a little under Tua or right over Tua. I don't know if y'all noticed, but Tua only got $1 million more than Jared Goff. So I don't know if Jordan Love just says I just need $1 extra $1 million more than Tua, so I could be up there. But he deserves it. It's a quarterback driven league. He played well. I trust him with Matt LaFleur together as a package. If Matt LaFleur wasn't there, then I don't know if I would trust Jordan Love as a $275 million quarterback, but he's going to get his deal. We saw last year, there were about, I think I counted 9 teams that had to go from quarterback 1 all the way down to quarterback 3. And in the Vikings case, they went to QB 4. There's a huge drop off. If you got a guy, you just got to keep the guy. You got to pay the guy. And that's where it comes down to just roster, construction and guys that know how to work the cap. So he's going to get paid. And, hopefully for them, it doesn't work out.
Right, exactly. Hopefully it don't. Fuck them. Dante, go ahead. Which one of these holdouts stand out to you?
I would have to go with CD just because everybody else that needs to be paid on that Cowboys roster. And it's looking more and more like Jerry's going to have to make a choice. Like, is he going to just say fucking and pay everybody? I highly doubt that. So now it's a matter of seeing who stays on that team and who gets to walk. Because, I mean, as a team who's looking for a defensive end, that's something that can interest us. I think that's a guy with everybody else. Same with Hassan Reddick, really. That's another guy who might be cheaper than Micah Parsons. So, just monitoring that situation. As far as Jordan Love, that deal is just a matter of time. He'll definitely get his deal. But those 2 defensive ends, I think that's definitely something to look at because, I mean, that market is so fluid. And you see guys who get pretty petty and like, nah, bro, I don't care if I signed last year. I'm about to hold out. So those are the 2. Like I said, I do think CD more than anything is important because that's going to determine a lot about what the Cowboys do. If you pay CD, like Mikey said, he's under contract. But if you choose to pay him, and then now it's down to Dak and Micah, that can get interesting. So, out of those we named, I think CD is probably the one that we should keep the closest eye on.
Bang, man, take us home on this one.
I am going to be so very happy when the Green Bay Packers have to give up all of their money to pay Jordan Love. Reason why is simple. I understand that he had him a very decent year at the back half of the year. But I'm always nervous about paying a quarterback so much money with so small of a sample size. And that's what's going to happen with this team right here. You have to pay him. You can't not pay him. I'm not saying that they should not pay him. You have to. But when you have a Detroit Lions team, as much as I can hate them and rant on them about what happened with this Hulk Hogan shit, this team is the best team in the division. You have a Bears team who's looking very good with finally a quarterback, and they're upcoming. And then, as much as I say that J.J. McCarthy is going to be the head coach of Nazareth football here in LaGrange Park, Illinois, in about 7 to 8 years, they still got a hell of a defense. Now Green Bay is going to be going up against a harder schedule, and now he's going to have to prove it from day one. So if they do pay him that money and he is not successful, you're stuck. You're basically stuck with, you're paying him like you want to pay Aaron Rodgers or how you want to pay Brett Favre. But is he Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, or is he Don Majkowski? That's what we're going to find out this year. And I just don't know if I would do it this year. I probably would take the chance and be like, all right, man, we'll give you a little bit more money, and then, we'll see what happens at the end of the year. And he's going to be like, nah. So you got to pay him because now he's not there. And I'm just worried that he's not going to be what you think he is once you could really fully game plan against this man for a full year. But as a Bears fan, I'm happy about it. Go ahead and pay that freight to a quarterback that might not be good.
Please pay him. Please
do.
Please get on one knee after a couple dates and say, this is my life partner. And you find out this bitch like eating in the bed. Please do that. Please 100% do that. But let's move on to the quarterback who did get paid today. That was, in the words of Rick Ross, Tua Tagovailoa. This motherfucker got paid today. And after a whole summer, not summer, spring, off-season worth of conversation of whether or not the Dolphins actually wanted to pay him. It was a big conversation in Miami sports talk. Actually got done today. Tua signed a 4-year extension worth $212.4 million. But as we know in NFL, only thing that matters is the guaranteed money, and that guaranteed money is $167 million guaranteed. I've been saying this since day one that I'm not a big Tua fan. I think that Tua has a great wide receiving core. Obviously, Tyreek Hill is one of the best wide receivers in football. Jalen Waddle's pretty good as well. Mike McDaniel is one of the best play callers in the game. I think that it kind of comes like what I just said with Jordan Love. I don't think Tua even is as good as he is now on any other team. I think he's very much a product of Mike McDaniel. We see that he was struggling a lot, couldn't stay healthy. Also, when they had my man Brian Flores was there, so they had to pay him, which is a story with every quarterback out there who's not an elite guy. You have to pay him. Which other way were you gonna go if you didn't pay him? But it's just a situation here where it's the same thing with the Dolphins. What's going to be it's kind of what we said with the Niners, but a little less than that is you got to win a playoff game. Them niggas ain't won a playoff game since Marino. Like, y'all got to break that streak, and he's got to go out there. Now that he's got the money, you got to go out there and make the moves to win the playoff game and be healthy. Their defense just took a massive hit this offseason. So now you don't really – and the defense wasn't great to begin with. Now that's taking a hit. A lot more is going to be thrown on Tua. A lot more is going to be expected on Tua. And they have to win now because guess who's up to get paid again? Tyreek Hill. You're going to have to pay Jalen Waddle soon. And it comes to all these situations where it comes to with the organization, you have to win doing the quarterback's new deal. So he just got his new deal now. So the rookie deal is over. He just got the new deal. When are you going to step up and make the moves to actually prove that you're a really, really good quarterback and a franchise quarterback here? So as far as the money, that's just how the market is. Now it's time for him to show and prove and see if he can actually live up to that contract. Mikey, what you think about the contract and just Tua's overall place right now with the Dolphins?
I mean, I'm a little bit more higher on Tua than you are and a lot of people, man. You could say he's a product of his environment, but you know what, man? He's consistent. Last year, he was almost at 70% passing, completion percentage. He made the leap from the first year with Mike McDaniel's, 3,500 yards, 25 TDs, and 8 picks, to then going to 4,600 yards, 29 TDs, 14 picks. He had more picks. I know there was a couple games that he had multiple picks, but I don't think enough gets talked about it, like the overall team and the overall product with the Miami Dolphins. As being somebody that lived down there, they're really reliant on their home field advantage. It is extremely hot down in South Florida, and they expose teams early in the season. You'll notice they always get out to like a 6-1 record,
every time
6-2, because it is a proven fact that when cold weather teams go down there, they are not ready to handle that humidity and that heat for 60 minutes, for 4 quarters in September, October, or November. The issue that I have with the Miami Dolphins as it pertains to the Tua thing is they need to adapt their style offensively. First off, they need to get better defensively. But they need to adapt their style offensively for those cold weather games, for when they need to play in December, for when they need to have it. It's insane, but he went from almost 70% completion percentage to 52% in that Chiefs game. Like, they are almost kind of the definition of front runners, because if they're not hosting a game in January, then they're pretty much cooked. And it's just the style. The style that they play. Like, I think there needs to be more of an emphasis on running the ball. They have a elusive back in Devin Achane. Obviously, I know he was hurt last year. He played sparingly, when he came back. But they need to really lean on that early on in the season and build an identity that can go into a Baltimore, that can go into a Buffalo, that can go to New York in late December, January, that can win. Because when it comes time to that and it's cold out there, that shit that they do on offense, the motion offense and everything with Tyreek and all that, like, it just doesn't work. So I think McDaniels needs to go ahead and improve his play style. They need to get better players on defense. But Tua's going to give you his numbers. You know, like you said, we say he doesn't deserve it, but we would have taken Tua's last 2 years as a quarterback, you know, on the Chicago Bears. Many teams would have taken his production. It's almost like they're the Dolphins West, you know, the Dolphins South, you know, just the way that their offense is, it's very system-like, but when they get down to like the nitty-gritty, like they just can't surpass that. So I don't know if it all falls on Tua. I know Tua is the easy scapegoat because he's lefty and, you know, just all of the jokes with him. But I think that they have a really good offensive team. I think that they can go ahead and do some things this year. But, you know, there is going to be more pressure now on Tua to overcome all of that and to deliver.
Dante, what you think about Tua? Which way you on with as far as he goes?
I mean, I'm not saying he weak, but the cold weather stuff does concern me. Like it really does. And so you can jump off to all the hot starters you want. Like Mikey said, it's proven. They did a study where it was like, you know, the way that they built the canopy at Hard Rock Stadium, the opposing team is pretty much always in the sun. Like always in the sun. So like when the Bears played there, you heard them complaining about, you know, cramping up and being dehydrated and just being in that Florida sun, you know, with the humidity the entire game. So I think that does help them. But then what do you do when, you know, the playoffs are played in December, you know, January. So you're going to these places where you don't have home field advantage. You don't have home field advantage. And now you have to go out there and play. So just seeing how they adapt. But I mean, McDaniels is a great coach. And one thing they showed you is that they're maximizing the speed on that team and that they get their guys in space. And so you're going to have those games where they put up 40, 50 points simply because they have that type of personnel. But at the end of the day, I think it's gonna come down to what he does in these cold weather games. You got to prove people wrong. And I'm not saying he can't do it. I think he can do it. But until he shows us, there's always gonna be the knock on to it. Like outside of the concussions, which are 100% out of his control, he can actually control what goes on in these cold weather games. So when you go out there and you look uncomfortable, like you don't want to be there, that's gonna be tough. And people gonna be like, well, why do we pay you? So I think the money's right where it should be. He's paid pretty much right where he should be production wise. It's just a matter of seeing, can he take it to that next level and start winning some road playoff games, because it's gonna come down to that.
Alex called him Bloodline Dak. It's fucking hilarious. Big Oos Dak. Go ahead, Bang. What you think about Tua's new deal?
You got to pay him. Just like with the Jordan Love thing. You got to pay him. You cannot pay him. You set your whole team back. You got to think about it like this, right? Everybody, when Tua was coming out, it was like, yo, we gotta tank for Tua, and that's what happened. But then he got hurt. Still, it was, what do we do? Then you got Justin Herbert and all these other quarterbacks and stuff, and he's the last really to get paid. But you had to pay him, because what's the alternative? What, Mike White? That's the alternative? Like, no, that you got to. Now, do I think he's going to lead them to a championship or anything like that? No, he's not. But you have to keep him on your team to keep you competitive. So, I mean, that's where we at, and that's where we always been with quarterbacks. Like, you think if it was possible, like, look at some of the quarterbacks back in the day who was pretty good, pretty decent, make it to a Pro Bowl or two and stuff like that, but they're never going to lead you to somewhere. Like, you never get rid of those quarterbacks until you have to. So you got to ride this one till the wheels fall off.
Definitely, man. Let's move on to our final NFL topic of the week of the show. 18-game season is on the way, folks. Of course, we all heard the rumors about it, but this week talks officially started. Not officially talks, but like It's going to happen. As far as the NFL, they decide they want 18 games, so the process has begun. I guess eventually they're going to talk to NFLPA. There's two different ways this can happen. It could be something where they wait to the end of the new CBA, which would be 2030. But that didn't happen with the 17 game thing. I think this is going to be something that they're probably going to get done within the next couple of years. Something that, as me as a fan, as I've always said, I don't give a shit about player safety. And I'm not the nigga out there playing. As a fan, give me more football as much as I can. In the words of the artist formerly known as Drake, you know what it was when you signed up. Like, all these players know what time it is, nigga, when they put on that helmet. So as a fan, I love it. Give me more football. For the players, I don't know if a lot of them gonna love it. Maybe they will. It's gonna be an extra check. But NFL players ain't really writing here. You can't be writing here to play the game of football. But Joe Burrow had a way to make this probably the easiest the way they possibly did. He said this on Pardon My Take, which is our Barstool Big Cat show. He says that if there was an 18-game schedule, that the team should have 2 bye weeks. Furthermore, Burrow proposes the NFL moves the Pro Bowl to the middle of season. He floated Week 13 as a potential target in order to revive the annual event that has been lacking for nigga, as long as I can remember. I don't ever remember the Pro Bowl ever being cold, at least in my lifetime. And as far as the Super Bowl, the additional week will make it so the Super Bowl Sunday is doing President's Day weekend in February, meaning the dreaded Monday after the Super Bowl would be a holiday. I personally think that's a genius idea. I think when this happens, that's something that they probably could consider. I don't know if there's any way you can revive the Pro Bowl. I don't even know who even participates. I think this participation in the Pro Bowl, as low as it is, I think it'll be lower if it's in the middle of the season, especially with so many games that you're going to definitely want that time off to get away from football, be around your family. But I think that's probably the most reasonable plan I've seen to actually get this done. Dante, what do you think about the 18-game season, and do you like Burrow's plan?
That shit is ridiculous. I ain't gonna lie to you. I think, we getting to a point where like player safety does need to come, to the front of the conversation. I know as consumers, it's easy to say we don't give a fuck. And I know you say it half jokingly, but you dead ass. But I think for me, it's really a thing where once you start to go down this slippery slope, as we've seen with the NFLPA, how much more are you gonna give up? Are we gonna get to a point where it's a 21-game regular season? There's no no preseason whatsoever. It's 21 games, and then you just expand the rosters and guarantee them a little more money. So I mean, at what point do you stop giving up stuff without getting what you truly, can get in return?
I agree. I do think 21, and by the way, I do be half joking when I say that. I do care, but I don't care. A 21-game season will bring load management into the NFL, and I don't think that we want that. I think 18, if you do add in more games, no more than 18, but also I know that the money in the NFL is getting crazy by the day, and money talks. Bang, what you think about the 18-game schedule and the idea that Burrow had?
I think that idea sucked. We're gonna stop the season to play a Pro Bowl. Fuck up out of here. Don't nobody give a fuck about the Pro Bowl. I give a fuck more. Well, I give a fuck about the Detroit Lions more than I give a fuck about the Pro Bowl. And y'all know how I feel about the Detroit Lions right now. I think it's a terrible idea. 18-game season, two buys, I'm cool with that. But that Pro Bowl shit, fuck up out of here. Like, just do, like, they don't even got to play a game. Just do some skill shit and be like, congratulations, here's your award. They ain't got to do none of that shit. The Pro Bowl shit is the shit that got me. The 18 games is inevitable. But I think the Pro Bowl should just be a skill position contest at this point. There's no reason to play the Pro Bowl.
I agree with that. You got a better chance bringing Tupac back alive instead of bringing the Pro Bowl back alive, nigga. So, Mike, you said you have nothing on this, so we're going to wrap up this second hour. We'll be back in 16 seconds. We're going to have 30 more minutes. We're going to talk about the new NBA media rights deal. USA Basketball, their journey is going to be starting on Sunday. And then we're going to close out with some baseball talk and my goofy mock of the week. 30 more minutes left in this week's edition of I'm Not Gonna Hold You. We'll be right back.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the
And we are back for the final 30 minutes of this week's edition of I'm Not Gonna Hold You. We're gonna get right into it. After months of speculation, it is official. The NBA announced their new media rights deal with Disney, NBC, and with Amazon. This is an 11-year deal that will start for the 2025 to 2026 NBA season. And this is a deal that is worth $77 billion. Also includes the WNBA. The WNBA are going to be getting, I got it right here. With WNBA, their deal is going to be also 11-year deal as well. Theirs is going to help, bring their money up for each player to get paid. I think their floor now is going to be like, 250,000 or something, which is still very, very low for those very talented ladies, but they've got a new deal as well as part of this with their their WNBA finals will be airing on on fucking Amazon. I'm trying to find where the fucking shit was at. But anyway, for WNBA fans, they're gonna be on the WNBA finals be airing on on NBC/Peacock in 2026, 2030, and 2034. It'll be on Disney, ESPN, ABC 2027, 2029, 2020, 31, 2030, 33, and 2035. Those sound like so far from now, but they're really not. And then Amazon Prime be 2028, 2032, and 2036, man. I hate when I'm like trying to scroll for something and then I had it right there and now I can't find them. Here we go. So the WNBA's theirs is worth $2.2 billion over the 11 years. So definitely a lot less than what the NBA is. As far as the NBA split goes, Disney will be paying $2.6 billion, NBC will be paying $2.5 billion, Amazon Prime will be paying $1.8 billion. Disney, which is ESPN, ABC, will be getting 80 regular season games. They will be getting 18 playoff games for the first two rounds. They'll be getting the conference finals 10 of the 11 years of the deal. And of course, they'll be getting the NBA finals to the entirety of the deal like they have right now. NBC will be having 100 regular season games. They're going to be specializing on Monday and Tuesdays. And of course, on Sundays, when NFL season is over, they're going to be having basketball night in America. They've also announced that Mike Tirico is going to be the head commentator for that. Shout out to a Italian legend, allegedly, and Mike Tirico. They're going to be having 28 games in the first two rounds of the playoffs, and they will get the conference final 6 of the 11 years of the deal. Amazon Prime gets a smaller package. They'll have 66 regular season games, and they will have a third of the games in the first and second rounds of the NBA playoffs, and they will have a conference final in 6 of the 11 years as well. And they will have the full home of the in-season tournament will be on Amazon Prime. The All-Star game will be on NBC. The draft and the draft lottery summer league will continue to stay on ESPN, and the draft summer league will also be on Amazon Prime as a little bit. And reading all that means that Warner is asked out. And there will be no more inside the NBA. Next year will be their final season. Charles Barkley actually issued a statement today on his Instagram, and it said, clearly the NBA has wanted to break up with us from the beginning. I'm not so sure TNT ever had a chance. TNT matched the money, but the league knows Amazon and these tech companies are the only ones willing to pay for the rights when they double in the future. The NBA doesn't want to piss them off. It's a sad day when owners and commissioners, quote, choose money over the fans. It just sucks. I just want to thank everyone who's been a turner the last 24 years. They're our best people and the most talented, and they deserve better. I want to thank the NBA and its fans, the best fans of sports. We're going to give you everything we have next season. I say it like this. I've been saying that I've been disappointed about Inside the NBA not coming back because it's one of the best shows ever. I think it's the best studio sports show ever. And for those of you out there, they don't give real basketball analysis. You're doing it wrong. If you're watching anything outside of watching your uncles talk shit about the game, you're doing it wrong. As far as this, the NBC, I'm not NBC with Turner, has nobody to blame but the Warner CEO, David Zaslav, who was a terrible CEO. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing with Max. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing with HBO, and he definitely doesn't know what he's doing with the NBA. You can't go out there and say we don't need the NBA. There's only so many times you can play King of Queens and everybody loves Raymond reruns. There's only so many times you play Avengers Endgame and Black Panther. There's only so many times you can watch Walker, Texas Rangers. You need the NBA, and now this is something that is going to be a massive swing as we're seeing a lot of these legacy shows going away. It was announced that in 2025 Around the Horn's probably going to be going away. So outside of shows like PTI, which is still on TV, all these legacy sports shows are starting to slowly go away. And I know a lot of the perception about this, or not perception, but outcry has been negative because a lot of people don't want to accept it. Like I've been saying for like 3 years at this point that the future of live sports isn't streaming. Even if you look at that NBC deal, half of those games are going to be on Peacock. Whether we can sit up here and say we don't want to pay the $5 or whatever, you're going to pay for live sports. I know, of course, there can be some who not, but the majority are. We saw with the NFL, and I think it's going to be the same thing with the NBA. I don't think it helps. The actual NBA's problem is still in the court. I think it's a shitty product right now, but I just think it's something where we're seeing the future, and this is something where you're not going to turn to Amazon. I mean, they Turner announced that they're gonna sue because they claimed the NBA wasn't faithful to their contract, but then the NBA responded with, none of Warner's claims are have any merit to them, and our lawyers will answer this. I don't think this is going to go anywhere. I think it's going to be a settlement, and we're going to go on. Amazon is probably the biggest company out there, along with Apple. This is going to happen, and that just kind of is what it is. The bright side is you're going to be best of inside the NBA next year. And Charles Barkley said he was going to retire during the finals, but then he said today on Dan Patrick that he has been listening to offers from ESPN, Amazon, all the guys, all the companies that are involved in this new deal. I want to go to Bang Wamsgam first because I know you're interested in this as well. Dante, do I sound any louder?
Yeah, you back. You back. Okay. You back.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to you, Bang, on this one. What do you think about this and this new era of NBA and the end of NBA on Turner?
First of all, for the end of NBA inside the NBA, the potential end, it sucks because this is the best studio show ever in any sport. But all things must come to an end. And it was probably more likely than not that in the next few years that it was going to end anyway. This is an 11-year deal, and we wasn't going to get 11 more seasons of this version of Inside the NBA. So it is what it is on that one. As far as the decision to move from Warner, you're right. This is on the CEO's fault. The CEO made it very clear a couple of years ago that they didn't need the NBA. But the NBA said, well, if you don't need us, then we're just going to go on over here. That's their fault, not the NBA's fault. I think the NBA would have loved to stayed with Warner, but Warner made it clear of the opposite. So it is what it is on that. Now, as far as the platforms and stuff, look, this was inevitable in the first place. I wasn't hearing nobody, well, I ain't gonna say I wasn't hearing. I was hearing the same things when a couple of TV deals ago, when you start to see them move away from regional, and you start to see them bring cable. Like back in the day, I used to watch the game on Channel 9 or WGN. You don't have that no more. I'm shut up, Orlando, because I know he gonna say something when I say this. But I am.
You remember when the NBA was on tape? You gonna say that?
No, because I don't remember that. No. But I am old enough to remember when the games was on Fox 32. Like, I remember when them games was on Fox 32, and then they went to Channel 9. I remember Sports Channel. I remember all of these changes of, I guess you could say that I was around enough TV deals from after the tape delay shit, because I really started watching the NBA in '88. So that was on CBS then. Then it went to NBC. So change is inevitable, and now we have streaming platforms. And the way that these streaming platforms are putting money into the product, because the Amazon games might be terrible, but the product, it looks great. So what you expected was going to happen. It was inevitable. And the next TV deal, we're going to see even something new, different, whatever's going on. I'm probably more shocked or surprised that Apple didn't say, nah, let me spend some of this Apple money to get it, to be honest.
Well, them niggas trying to cut costs.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. But I found that out. I was like, oh, okay. So, I mean, look, I'm happy that the NBA on NBC is back. I'm very excited about that and the product, and to see how they're gonna do it with this new version around Ball Rock.
Dante, you got anything on this or no?
I mean, change is inevitable, bro. Money talks, bullshit walks. These days, you got to follow the money, and unfortunately, this goes more to the political corporate side, but they've allowed these big VCs and tech firms to get all this money, and now they're going to buy up everything. So as much as y'all hate it, it ain't going to stop. You see it the same when teams are being sold. They're being sold to the highest bidder. These people have enough fuck off money to where they can just pay double what the team has been valued by Forbes, and it's nothing. Like Ballmer paid $5 billion for the Clippers, and they were not worth $5 billion. Like, they have that type of money to where they can just say, "Fuck it, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to do." And so, when you have a league that's driven by revenue, like all of our sports leagues are, of course they're going to tap in with them. Like, is it unfortunate to see games starting to go to cable and streaming when we know some people don't have those things? Yeah, it does. But I mean, at the same time, this is the way that our country is headed. The same way with cashless payments everywhere you go and shit like that. It's just certain people who haven't adapted to the times, or some who can't adapt to the times, are going to be left out. But it's only going to keep going and get worse. Wait till everybody wearing headsets and shit, then it's really going to be crazy.
Yeah, just a matter of time, man. Last basketball topic, man. The Olympics, like I said, Olympics kicked off today. Opening ceremonies. We saw Snoop Dogg had the Olympic lights, which is crazy. 30 years ago, Snoop was the most feared artist in America. Now he's representing the country at the Olympics. LeBron James and Coco Gauff, they held the American flag at the beginning of the ceremonies, but Team USA kicks off their run to try to get another gold medal on Sunday at 10:15 Central Time, 11:15 Eastern Time. They'll be kicking off against reigning NBA MVP Nikola Jokic and Serbia. My question to y'all, man, it kind of feels like these guys have been close in a lot of battles. Had to come back against South Sudan. LeBron had to be the closer and close that out. A couple other close games, and had to come back against Canada. They haven't blown anybody out. I mean, the biggest score was against Serbia, but that score kind of lied. It was a much closer game than that score showed. I look at it as this, man. I'm not worried at all. And the reason I say that is because I think this team is gelling right. If Kevin Durant does come back, and hopefully he does, Steve Kerr says that he's been practicing. He's been day to day. They are not removing him off the roster. And if you see that picture of Anthony Edwards dunking on that nigga, it looks like he's been playing pretty hard in practice. So when he comes back, that adds another element to them. LeBron has been playing very, very well. Steph's been playing well. Anthony Edwards, Anthony Davis, and Bam Adebayo looking like the Twin Towers out there. And the reason these games are going to be close is because the world has gotten better. I don't like compare. First of all, I hate comparing errors because it's a pointless ass argument. But yeah, it's different. People watch the Dream Team, and a lot of people became NBA players because of what the Dream Team did. We're seeing the results of the Dream Team's plan, of Jerry Colangelo's plan back in the day, being played out right now, but all these teams have multiple NBA players on them. So just by default, they're going to be closer games. But I think this is something where they're going to compete, and I think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to lose in this round. I think this is a very well-balanced team, and more anything, you've got LeBron, where I think this is going to do wonders for his legacy. Now, I'm not going to debate Mike Brown ever again in my life. Wherever you stand on that side of the fence is where you stand at. You're not going to convince anybody on either side of the fence that they're going to change that pick. But, we all know LeBron's not going to get the 6, but he can go out there and put up a dominant Olympic run like he's done so far. Like, the dude is going to be 40 in December, and he's looked incredible in these exhibition games. He can go out there and make himself look as good as possible. Steph Curry, his first Olympics, and you see a lot of young guns doing that thing as well. So I'm not worried about Team USA at all. I think this is more just to do with, the world getting better more than actual worries about Team USA. Mikey, are you worried about the Team USA heading into these Olympics, or you just think it's the world getting better?
No, I just think it's the world getting better. I mean, it was kind of to like what Steph Curry had said. Like, now there's, over like 200 people from overseas that are playing professionally in the NBA now, compared to what it was back then. So I don't think it was anything like that. You got to remember, too, most of those guys outside of the Boston Celtics that are on the team, Giroux, Derek, and Tatum, a lot of those guys have finished, hooping very early. The Lakers, were done early. Everybody was kind of done early. So I think they're just rounding into shape. And I think, when having an honor like LeBron had today, being the first men's basketball player for the U.S. to be the flag bearer, I think that's something that's going to invigorate them. Obviously, we see that he's been hooping. He's in shape. So I think that they're going to go ahead and, whether these games are close or not, I think it doesn't matter as long as they win and they bring home that gold. So I think they'll be fine.
Dante, anything on Team USA and them keeping it so close?
Well, yeah, niggas gotta just stop being dumb, bro. The world is better. Stop bringing up the dream team. That's back when it was 6 niggas playing basketball. Now you have a lot of pros in the Olympics, bro. This is nothing new. Like the games are gonna be close. The games are gonna be exciting. Ignore that dumb shit Gilbert Arenas said. This is a completely different time when it comes to the game of basketball. It's actually, it's kind of like how America hasn't evolved with soccer, and we keep getting our teeth kicked in. This is not that. Like this ain't that. The rest of the world is playing basketball. They love it just like we love it, and they're producing talent. So I mean, I think it's gonna be entertaining, but I still expect them to get the gold.
Bang, take us home on this topic.
I don't know about the gold because this team feels like they could slip up. I mean, I do think they'll win it, but let me just say I think they'll win it, but I'm not so sure. But anytime we're not so sure, they're gonna, I just think that people are just thinking too much into it. At the end of the day, the world, the world has gotten better. Like it is what it is. It was never going to be a foregone conclusion that basketball was just going to be owned by us, especially since after the 1992 Olympic team. So, I mean, they're the favorites to win it. They should win it. I just hope they don't slip up and fuck up and don't medal and then be real embarrassed. Because I'll say this, once they lose it, it's going to be hard getting it back. Because with KD and LeBron and Steph and the people that we grew up watching or came into age watching, these are their last Olympics. Are we sure we're going to go into the 2028 Olympics winning? This might be it for quite some time because all of the best players are overseas now. Fine.
Yeah, that was on me. That was on
fine.
Right. Anyway, yeah. So that's it for Bang. Bang, you're good to go. Because we're about to spend these last 10 minutes talking some baseball, man. Anything you want to say before you get up out of here?
New episodes of First Black Champ and Some Dude are out. Make sure y'all go ahead and check that out. And outside of that, no, that's it, man. Fuck the Detroit Lions.
All right, real quick on some wrestling shit, Bang. Shout out to Shawn Michaels because them shorties in the NXT, boy.
Nigga, you know it.
Good woman.
That nigga,
something.
Hey, Shawn Michaels. Shawn, every woman that he has signed in every capacity is out there winning. Shouts out to the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Shout out to HBK. You can follow Bang at JR Bang on all social media platforms. He will holler at y'all next week.
Peace.
We're going to wrap these last 10 minutes up of the show with some baseball talk, man. We have had today has been like you really starting to see the trade deadline really starting to heat up. A lot of big trades. Randy Arozarena going to the Seattle Mariners. He was actually still at the game. Him and his family are watching the Rays play right now.
My favorite Mexican.
Zach Eflin traded to the Orioles. A lot of other trades going on. Jazz Chisholm could be on the trading block. Mikey, man, tell us what trades from these last couple of days have stood out to you, and what do you expect to come up?
Right now, nothing. I was kind of confused when. I mean, I get it. The Diamondbacks are right there. They kind of really had a really good week, taking care of the Royals. They took care of the Cubs, so they found themselves back in it. So they went ahead and they traded for left-hander AJ Puk from the Miami Marlins. It's just, right now, none of the big names have moved. I mean, Randy Arozarena is the biggest name. The Mariners have been searching for a bat. Obviously, Julio Rodriguez is out. Their offense is anemic. I mean, Randy was somebody that was talked about being moved, back during, the offseason, possibly as a package deal with Glass now going to the Dodgers. So I think it was inevitable. This is what, the Tampa Bay Rays do. That is their model. They trade two really good players with limited control in Zach Eflin and Randy Arozarena. It cuts $30 million in payroll for next year, and they got 5 prospects back. None of them will need to be added to the 40-man roster until 2026. so they have time to develop them. They do really well with pitching as well. They got some of that back. So this is what the Tampa Bay Rays do. So I'm not really shocked by that. I think right now the biggest thing is, just the White Sox and maybe the holding pattern they're in on moving, the two big ticket items and Crochet and Luis Robert. I mean, there were rumors of Tarek Skubal from the Detroit Tigers. He's leading the AL right now as the Cy Young candidate, lefty pitcher, filthy. Then there were rumors that, the Orioles, the Dodgers, and the Yankees were really, kind of trying to pry him. But that would take, that Juan Soto type package right now in the season to take him, because he's under control. He's pitching well. Whoever were to land him will surely become the favorite. But I don't see that happening. So you go to Crochet, and now with Crochet saying that he's demanding, that an extension, like, I don't think that was ever in the plans for any team, back in May and June that were looking at trading for him. So I want to see where we go from here. A lot of teams that we thought that were going to be sellers, the Mets, the Diamondbacks, those two teams are now in it. The Mets are smoking the shit out of the Braves right now. The Mets are about to surpass the Braves by the end of tonight.
Yeah, Mets in that wild card race, yeah.
Oh, that is shit. They're going to be leading. They're going to be the number one team in the wild card now and surpassing the Braves. Their offense is clicking. I had texted y'all a couple days ago. I said the Mets are this year's Arizona Diamondbacks. They're hitting. If they can go ahead and get somebody like an Eric Fetty or a Jameson Taillon, then I think that they're cooking with something. They just got that vibe, and Francisco Lindor is having a tremendous summer right now. And JD Martinez hit a grand slam today. Francisco Alvarez, like, they're really starting to put it together, and it's crazy because this was supposed to be a down year. Got to give props to Courtney, because she said this was her sneaky team back when we did this in March. So yeah, and then on the AL side, the Yankees have been playing absolutely terrible. I don't know if you've seen, Scott's, the lineup they've been throwing out there lately, but they need help, and they need help, and they need help bad. I don't know how much Cody Bellinger helps, but he is an upgrade. So, right now, none of the trades right now have really moved me. But I think over this weekend, we got the deadline coming up on Tuesday. I think over this weekend, we're going to start to see some really big deals made, by contending teams. The Phillies need a reliever. They could also use another bat. So it's gonna be interesting. I really want to see what the Cubs do. The Cubs are in an interesting spot. If they lose tonight, it all but guarantees that they're done. So I think they should consider trading, guys like Seiya and Taillon.
Dante, man, take us home. What you think about some of these deals that have happened, and what do you expect to happen before Tuesday's deadline?
Yeah, like I said, man, they traded my favorite Mexican. Shout out to Randy. It's a real cool dude. I still don't know if that's going to move the needle enough for Seattle to make the push that they want to make. But at the same time, I think, like Mikey said, a lot of these moves, I'm not really, too excited about. I want to see what some of these teams that really need to make some moves do. It's like you said, the Yankees. You can't keep doing this. This is the third year in a row where you started out with a really good record, and then you just completely shit the bed, and now you've made this an actual, race. And that's not me taking anything away from Baltimore in that division, but at the same time, the Yankees have pretty much handed it to them over the past 25 games with the way that they've been playing. You heard Juan Soto said, we can't win with just two players. Like, it's going to take more. Juan Carlo, you can't depend on him anymore. He was having a good season, actually, before he got hurt, but you just can't depend on him. So, like, I'm really more just interested in to see what the teams like the Yankees do. The Dodgers, even with them being, in first place, they still want to make moves because their outfield is underperformed. So seeing if there are any moves for them to make. We talked about Jazz Chisholm. Like I said, the Yankees are pretty much scared of adding him. They said they don't know if his personality will mesh, which, like I said,
too many podcast mics, not enough RBIs.
I feel you, but at the same time, it's not 19. It's not the old Yankees no more. Papa Steinbrenner is gone. I'm not saying let him keep the blue hair and all that other shit, but you might need to add a little spice. And even with the old Steinbrenner, bro,
I got one for you. How about Jazz to the Pirates? They're in the wild card hunt. They're right there. How about adding, a little left-handed pop to that team? A little bit of energy.
You got a vet like McCutcheon who could, pick him under his wing, get him right, like a real vet, not who was the dude he was talking
Ryan
about?
Reynolds, real vet.
Yeah.
Who are you talking about?
Buddy who got mad, he fell asleep. I can't think of his name. He is not.
Miguel Rojas from the Dodgers.
Yeah. No disrespect to Rojas.
Oh no, and in
Miami,
and Avisel Garcia too.
Yeah, let's see. No, just get him some real. Get him
Nigga,
around
I
some
ain't
real
heard
vets.
that name in a minute.
Get him around some real vets and see what can happen. But I mean, so far these moves haven't really moved the needle for me. But I still think it's plenty of time, and I do think that, especially when you look at some of these tight division races, that's usually when you see a team get desperate, and they might be able to give up a couple extra prospects. Because what we've seen, prospects is cool, but pennants are better. Like you got teams that are trying to win now, and they don't really care about the future. So
breaking news. I got breaking news. We need a sounder alert. Packers quarterback Jordan Love has agreed to a 4-year extension worth $220 million, which makes him the highest paid QB in NFL history, despite only starting one full season. No word right now on what the guarantee is on that, but that's what the two will get.
214 and 167.
167.
Okay, so we're probably going to be looking at 220 and I would say 170, in there, and it just goes up and up and up.
So now I got to change the segment to Jordan Love contract reaction. So shout out to my designer Mike G. I'll be hitting him up in 2 minutes to update that. But one last thing, I know Orlando had a question for you, Dante. Do you think that the Braves make a move?
Honestly, I don't. I think this is one of those things where it was one thing when you lost Spencer and Acuna, but then Austin Riley's on paternity leave. Michael Harris had a setback, and so it's one of those things where I think despite what you saw in 2021 where they made the moves and they were able to go on a run, I think this part they may be a little too far behind the 8 ball to where they may just regroup and try to come back for 2025. Like even with the potential moves, like I said, their farm system is pretty much bare because of they called all their guys up last year. So, who are you going to give away and what are you getting back? Like Tommy Pham is not propelling this team to a wild card berth as much as I think he can help a contender. There aren't too many guys out there that they can go get that they even need to go get because the pitching has been good. Ronaldo Lopez leads the National League in ERA. Chris Sale has been amazing this year. So like even with that, I just don't think the risk is not worth the reward this year. In 2021, you could do it. You ended up getting some good guys. Like, so they tried the Eddie Rosario reunion, and that's going exactly how you would expect it to go. So, I mean, at this point, I think they regroup and they come back in 2025.
All right, man. And also, it's $155 million guaranteed.
For record 70. And a record 75 million signing bonus.
Ooh, must be nice. Must be nice.
Hey man, and I was scrolling through, I was kind of on the Jordan Love IG like 2 weeks ago. Somehow he got him a little Puerto Rican shorty too from the island. He might know a little something about him. He might have a little sense. He might have a little sense. He got him a Puerto Rican volleyball player straight from the island.
He might know what he's doing, man. But that's it. We're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna do Goofy Mog of the Week, and we're gonna get up out of here. Like I said, I haven't been doing Goofy Mog of the Week each week because I just don't want to get it out, just be giving that out until somebody does some goofy shit to do it. And today's recipient of the Goofy Mog of the Week is Mr. Paul George. CPG, I was on your side on the whole contract negotiation thing with the Clippers. I do think the Clippers were bugging for not giving you your money, as somebody who's been covering this thing the last couple seasons. I've seen you play more than I've seen Kawhi play. Now, just be 100% real about it. I do think that they kind of did you bogus with this. But this going around talking about, when I was with the Clippers, it was the B team, man. Like I was back home, but I really wasn't back home. The Lakers are the A team. Well, idiot. The fact that you didn't know that to begin with is insane. You could have actually went to the Lakers. They were trying to sign you. You had that meetup with not Magic Johnson, but with Rob Pelinka and them. You know what I'm saying? You had that meeting with them. You could have been a Laker. So they try to use that. And I kind of feel like he's taking the things that he already do and act like he didn't know about it, which is corny. And then on top of that, somebody ask you about how Philadelphia fans treat. He's like, oh, well, yeah, I love passionate fans. Do what you want to do. If I'm not playing too well, let me play well. Show me that I'm not playing well. I'm just going to tell you this, my nigga. Be careful what you ask for. Because Philadelphia sports fans are another level. I think Chicago sports fans are rough. I think New York sports fans are rough. Well, Philadelphia, they will spit on you. This is a city that clapped when Michael Irvin had his career-ending injury in there in the old stadium in Philadelphia. And we all know how Paul George get down. You did that in the Pacers. It's the Pacers. Nobody cares. You did that in Oklahoma City. It's Oklahoma. Nobody cares. You did that in the B team, which apparently you didn't know it was a B team until you actually got there. Didn't matter, and nobody cares because the Laker and Dodger town. They're gonna care in Philly, my nigga, especially when they have loaded this team as the best as they can in the Embiid era. When Embiid goes out there and gets away with murder, because trust to believe he's gonna do the same thing, but Harden took the heat off him. Paul George is going to take the heat off him. When Tyrese Maxey, who just got his new deal, goes out there and do his thing, but you out there doing the same thing that you get, they're going to call you everything but a child of God. And you're going to wish that you never gave them a green light to do that. They were going to do it already. But now you think that they playing around, they're going to do it worse. So I'm going to give Mark of the week to Paul George for this little corny going around, it just feels right. Just take your money and shut up. You said the same things 5 years ago when you signed the Clippers. We don't want to hear that, man. So that's who I get at to, Mr. Paul George, for my movie mock of the week, man. So that is all we have got for y'all on this edition of I'm Not Gonna Hold You. Next week we'll be back. We're gonna actually have actual football to talk about because the Hall of Fame game will be a wrap. We'll talk about that going to week 2 of Bears Talk, and then we're gonna go into our inside division series. We're gonna be breaking down the AFC North next week, man. Anything you guys want to say before we get up on out of here? You just said peace. None said niggas is tired. It's 8 and it's 9 on the East Coast. It's 8 in Chicago. I have not ate since I got back from camp, so I'm gonna get to that. So you can follow Dante at October's on Tail on all social media on Twitter. You can follow Mikey at Junior_Solito. You can follow me at Barberchair Scott on all social media platforms. You can follow the Barbers Chair Network at Barbers Chair Net on all social media platforms. Follow HB Media, HB Media TV on Twitter, and HB Media on Instagram. Of course, visit the bcnet.com, which is a one-stop shop for everything all Barbers Chair Network. And of course, subscribe to the Patreon. Patreon.com/Barbers Chair Network. We got a lot of great stuff on there. Shout out to everybody who does subscribe. We just posted our 1,000 posts to the Patreon this week, man. So we appreciate that. Y'all have a great weekend, and we're going to holler at y'all next week. Actual football to talk about next week. We about here.